What's going on, everybody? Welcome to tonight's broadcast of the ACL week number 1, day number 2. We're 2 days a week right off the rip now with our new format. And this is going to be the first day where we introduce our top 2 seeded teams. My name is Gordo. I'm joined by TDS. And TDS, we've got ourselves a fantastic matchup tonight. Apex Mission Impossible, complete with 3/5 of the NACL roster that they played with just last split, facing off up against Komodo, actually come in as the higher seed thanks to the opinions of our seeding committee.
Yeah, sitting committee, be damned or be great, depending on whose side you are. Obviously, there's always opinions for how we end up ranking them, but I feel like we did a good job with ranking both of these teams. Really exciting teams, potential rosters or rosters with a lot of potential that can be impressive, but also that can pack a good amount of punch. I think particularly on the side of Komodo, I'm really looking forward to how their players are going to be able to come back. Obviously, there's a lot of mixed opinions on how they perform, but overall, I think it's going to be a fun match, and a match that I think it's really close in terms of the skill level that they have.
Yeah, I think this is about as close as they're going to get today. It's a tier 2, a pool 2 team
Yep.
facing off against a pool 3 team, so the pools are close, and I think the rosters pair up quite nicely up against each other as well, especially given that we've got a roster change piece from what these teams registered with when they were seeded, and I think that does a little bit to bump up AMI, and I think it might do a little bit to bump down Komodo as well. So let's get into chatting about our 2 teams here today. Starting on off with Apex Mission Impossible. It's going to be Decoy, BB, Retrozing, Baz. And we have been told it will not be Protoss at support tonight. It will be Pocus coming on in to reunite with his longtime AD carry.
Yeah, not against Pocus coming in here. Obviously, taking a step back means that he probably wants to focus a little bit more on other things. But overall, I think a really strong bot lane that we already saw from Baz and Pocus. They obviously weren't able to keep themselves in the NACL, but I think they did a really good job for what they had in retrospective. And then also the addition, I think, from BB here to the roster makes it really interesting how they are going to try and attempt to change some of the things. Obviously, this is not the main roster that we saw in the NACL, but I think that the parts that they kept plus the additions could be quite interesting. I think the main thing that I'm looking at is obviously not having the comparison between Retrosync and Fiamini, because I am really high on Fiamini, and Retrosync I don't think that he's like an upgrade. I don't think he's a side grade either, but he's not that far below 5 minutes, so I still think that could be work out quite well. But it's going to be fun seeing how this new adaptation of the roster really performs.
Yeah, I think Retrozing kind of come in as the big question mark on this roster, and the player who has a lot to prove coming into this split, paired up with these teammates. I think Decoy, Baz, especially with Pocus coming in at support, I think all 3 of these guys, when competing at the high tier 3, mid tier 2 level, obviously we do have 4-ish tier 2 teams competing with us. I say ish because Papa's Chonks not officially competing under the Winthrop University brand, but still going to be a crew that has made it to NACL. They're fresh off a split of NACL level scrims. I have a lot of faith in those 3. And BB has had some really solid ACL performances as well. He's fresh off a top 12 run
Yeah.
with Deathmark Esports. They were kind of an underdog, making a deeper run than they would have initially been expected to. And BB also has made some deep runs before. He's played with teams like Mirage. His Exodia Exiles roster, for you old ACL heads out there, made a run all the way to top 3. So he's had himself some really solid ACL runs previously, and is going to be looking to make this one of the better ones, as it is also one of the better teams he has played for, similar to Retrozing there. With that said, let's check out the roster for Komodo, who they're going to be playing off against tonight, and who, seeding-wise, should be considered the favorites. It's going to be Alorum, Colthro, Doxa, that is Azog in bot lane, and Pika Pika at support.
Yeah, sitting wise, the favorites. Roster wise, there's a lot of arguments that you can make for either side. I think obviously the main point that everyone is going to focus is going to be the change that happened for them, because previously they had quite a strong roster. I think them with now this change that is going to come through, it's going to need some adaptation, because I would argue it's going from like a carry to a more supportive role in that sense, and trying to enable the rest of your team in here, make it more for a different style here probably is going to be the focus of from Komodo. And they didn't even play yesterday, right? The one that played yesterday were AMI, where Komodo were already like in position thanks to their ranking. So in that case, we need to see maybe Komodo have a little bit more time before they can accommodate themselves.
Yeah, and to be clear with that change, when we ranked this roster as a seeding committee, they had Shimmer in the jungle. They have now dropped Shimmer. I no idea whose choice that ends up being, and they've brought in Colthrow to replace him in the jungle. They've had GFP as well on the bench the whole ways through, but they made an intention to change out starting junglers. Seems like they decided to go with Colthrow rather than GFP, or GFE isn't available each and every week. Either way, Coulthard the starter going forward, and likely going to be, or at least is who we assume is going to be playing tonight. We have not heard anything otherwise. And the rest of the roster, I mean, one that we've seen be very successful before. I mean, Colthrow and Azog too is a sub. Were top 12 with Apex Predators just last split, but they were fourth seed coming into playoffs. So they kind of had a little bit of a playoffs collapse, got upset by a couple of different lower seeds, but still came into the playoffs as a very powerful team, and it defeated a lot of other good teams to be able to get that seed. And Doxa Pika Pika, of course, were finalists with Conviction Star. So all four of those players coming off of pretty solid ACL springs, now looking to combine forces for ACL summer, alongside Alorum, who is off that wrist injury that he sustained a couple of months back, but now is back and playing again.
He is an if I'm not wrong, he is one of the Mirage Legends. I hate that I forget their name now, but yeah, the previous Mirage roster. Yeah, he was on the team that did win ACL, so he's technically the only one that has actually won it from all the 10 players here, and surprisingly to a certain degree. So I don't have a doubt that he can perform. Obviously, it has been quite a while, and he has to come back into a level that we can say that it's going to be confident for all of them. But I think in general, the roster, like we've seen, it can be really strong. They have top finishers in almost every position. They have players that really can perform when needed in most situations. The main question mark is obviously going to be how much of a change does the jungle change make? Because Shimmer has a playstyle that I think Colthrow probably can emulate, but not going to be the same level. So I just want to see how much that impacts and how much it can change the dynamic of the team, and also the amount of practice they've had together. Because once again, AMI did play yesterday, so they have at the very least two games in the tournament where Komodo has barely played any. If any.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely true. I mean, coming off of a 2-0 yesterday, they looked plenty good facing off up against who was it that they played in week number 1?
They were Travelers.
Travelers, yes. So they were able to take down Travelers, one of the lower seeded teams here in the ACL, and did not seem to have any difficulty, and really showed off from both lanes, or for both sides of the map too. I think it was a real decoy BB retro zing topside masterclass in game number 1, and then it was a big pop-off game for Baz with Pocus in game number 2. So they got to show off a little bit from both sides of the map, got to kind of show some diversity and strategy, which is always what you want to see in our fearless format. And is what you're going to need to show facing off against Komodo, is they're going to be a team that definitely can threaten from multiple positions as well, but especially the mid lane, what you're going to have to keep an eye on. And if you've got RetroZing facing off against Doxa, he's kind of getting thrown right into the deep end here. If he's going to show up and prove himself with this AMI squad, it's going to have to be right here, right now, up against Doxa, as this is going to be one of the tougher matchups that you'll get in the early group stage.
Yeah, it really is one of those gatekeeping mid laners in the tier 3 sphere, right? It feels like Doxa has been one of those like permanently there trying to hold the barrier between who's tier 2 and who's tier 3 to a certain degree, kind of like what Satsu was to a certain degree. So certainly going to be a good test for Coulter to see how much he can do to perform in this game, and also how much he can make it so that it doesn't feel like there's a lack of having 5 mini coming in here. But overall, I feel like this first game is going to put us into a really interesting spot in terms of how both of these teams want to feel each other. Because comparing it to yesterday's series, we did have quite a bit of focus towards the bot side in how a lot of the pick and ban phase did end up going. But with bans and picks going towards the bot lane quite a bit. And also, we had a really interesting pick, or a couple of interesting picks coming in from the bot lane, particularly from one of the teams with the Yunara and the Fiddlesticks. So I want to see if that's going to come here and be a priority as well. First, the Yunara. Second, the bot lane being a major priority.
Yeah, I mean, Bats and Pocus yesterday, they played some pretty standard bot lanes. We got Lucian Nami and Ezreal Leona out of them. So, but I mean, Pika Pika, definitely a Bard enjoyer himself. Might get to see a little bit of the ranged stuff out of him. And again, still one of these support prospects that I think over the last calendar year, a lot of new faces have gotten to debut in NACL. Some of that because of the goofy format that we had to qualify 3 new teams back in spring.
Yeah.
And so a lot of names that would have been on the short list of, oh, I want to see this guy in NACL soon. They got to be in NACL. They got to play a split. And now many of them have cycled back out. Among the very, very increasingly short list of players that I would like to see in an ACL and have not yet is Pika Pika. I think he's a really, really dangerous player and one that I'm excited to see in a much more competitive ACL environment. Fresh off a second place runner-up finish last split, looking to see if he can take it all the way now with Komodo. Going to be a Lucian ban coming out across early, directed over towards Baz, so he's not going to be running that one back, at least not in game number 1, while jungle bans towards Colthrow are the focus here for AMI.
Yeah, interesting that there may be no Shimmer in the jungle, but there's still focus towards the jungle from Komodo. Probably something like the buy should be also something that we look forward to, because we didn't see it yesterday, but the ability from the champion is still there. Point and click ultimate, really good early game, really nice setup for the team, and has quite a bit of damage that you can play off of really effectively. So wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing a buy either picked or banned in this position. The Akali ban, always the respect for Cozy, does make sense, although there is Cozy actually was on the other side, so this is actually a respect ban for Alarin.
Yeah, banning the Akali against Alora, that's got to be a Doxa Akali ban, I think. Is
okay, could be more. Right? Yeah, could be more so. I'm still surprised. Like, I would assume you would be on the side that if I'm AMI, I'm surprised they banned away the Akali of all things.
Well, they have Decoy, not Cozy. So.
Oh wait. Yeah, I'm blanking. So, I'm sorry for that. I'm confusing the top laners. So it makes more sense now that I'm thinking about it. But it did open up this Varus pick that has been banned. Yesterday was banned 2 games. So I'm surprised that they leave it open just like that.
Yeah, so now going to be a Yone lock-in early for AMI. I think that's very likely to go over to RetroZing, but you got to keep in the back of your mind that it could go over to Decoy in the top lane. And the Ezreal for Baz, so he will get to run back one of his picks from yesterday, even though the Lucian does get banned on away. I also want to note that Ziggs ban, that Ziggs freshly buffed, I think kind of ridiculous. I don't know if anybody saw APA's tweet earlier today of him one-shotting the Zed as he dives onto him. 15% AP ratio per minefield mine. I don't know who okayed that, but it's not okay. It's quite a problem.
It was APA with a fake mustache actually making those changes, probably.
Sneaking into Riot HQ to be like, hey guys, I think this will be just fine. Yeah, I don't know. It definitely feels that way. It's a super strong pick, and I'm not surprised at all to see Komodo take it off the board, knowing that Baz would be willing to pilot it. And the Azir lock-in means that Komodo get a nice little trifecta of heavily prized meta champions to start things off.
Yeah, quite an interesting throw in terms of what they're trying to mix up here. I like the AMI idea of trying to go for a bit of a team fight with the Yone and the Rumble setup that you have with your ultimate, plus the safe positioning from the Ezreal. Pretty much meaning that he's going to be by himself, and AMI is going to focus on trying to play around these other ultimates without really having to focus on the AD carry. That being said, there's a huge amount of jungle bans already, and they added Maokai to that mix with the Shinja already taken away, so we have to see what they are going to try and take away from the set of Komodo. I like the tank bans because obviously Alarim being a good setup player, giving the opportunity to play the Varus and the Azir, you probably were looking forward to something tankier in the top lane, and I really like that they are focusing these 2 champions. It is still available to have something like the Cho'Gath coming through depending on certain matchups, but it's at the end going to be the buy event coming in here. And now for jungle, pool is a little bit more pinched, but there's still options that you can go for. Something like a Jarvan is still available. We've seen a lot more presence from the champion coming in. Obviously, if you feel confident in Listen, it's almost always a choice. But there's also the support still left up, so maybe they want to give the opportunity for a counter pick in the jungle more so than the support.
Yeah, that's got to be the priority. So they take away the Maokai, the Vi, away from the likes of BB here. He's going to default over towards the Wukong. I still think that's going to be a plenty powerful selection for him. And now going to be saving support for last, putting that in the hands of Pocus. Going to be time to show support and show top lane for Komodo. They know they're up against the Rumble. The classic counter nowadays feels like it's the Galio. That is something you could still go for. But I mean, I think this team would be plenty happy just to get some beefy frontline for this Azir and Varus. The on-hit build seems to be the new hotness. And I mean, I'm going to be honest. Galio could be both, right? You could
Yeah, Galio
forego the
tank.
Rift Maker. Most Galios go Rift Maker second. You could just skip that and be a tank. That's allowed as well. There's no rule that forbids you from doing it. So definitely going to be a powerful option here for Alorum if that's the direction he wants to go in. Maybe he'll go for that Rift Maker anyway. Try to get a little extra damage in, even though that's not generally Alorum's style.
True, but does give you also the extra protection with the ultimate in case the Seer or the Xinjiao are the ones that go forward. You do get that extra protection as well thanks to that ultimate value. So always good to try and look into it. The Bard, I would say one of Pika Pika's champions certainly coming in here. I was thinking maybe Karma could have been an option just because you do get the extra range, but trying to set up for fights, the Bard does a really good job between both poking and setting up, and I think it's a nice addition here, especially to try and get on top of champions like the Ezreal, like the Wolfing that can be a little bit slippery. You do have quite a bit of body with the slow, the CC, and also the Tempered Fate to really deny team fight value. And for the counter pick, the Nautilus coming through, and here's the thing, I'm not against the Nautilus, but I don't like the fact that they waited for 5th pick to go for the Nautilus anyway. That's why I was thinking maybe you just go for the Nautilus earlier and you try and play something else for the jungle, which at the end, it doesn't end up necessarily being bad. You have the ultimate value from the Nautilus, ultimate value from the Wukong, and the Yoni set up with the Rumble as well. Everything can work out really nicely if you're able to pair up your ultimates. The problem is that you are kind of in a timer because I don't think their late game is going to be comparable to Komodo's. Like, I think Varus Azir is going to run the show if they reach the late game really effectively.
Yeah, I mean, I manifested this Bard pick. I'm going to be real. I manifested the Bard and the Galio. I did Komodo's whole back half draft. So I'm really happy to see Pika Pika piloting this champion. I think this is one of those picks that he's really made a name for himself on. And when you're facing off up against the Ezreal lane, leaning a little bit more into that roaming style, I think could definitely be beneficial for you. So best to be aware as a melee mid laner for RetroZing, who got a lot of early draft priority to snap up his Yone. He's facing off against a ranged pick in the Azir who is going to be harassing him, and there's going to be lots of roaming and pressure coming in from everywhere. You've got the Xinjiao in the jungle, who's really good at ganking mid. You've got the Bard roaming up from the bot lane, and the Galio, who can heroic entrance from the top lane. Constantly going to be moves coming in towards that Yone. Going to have to use every bit of mobility you've got in that kit to be able to dodge away from that pressure.
Yeah, you want to try and evade it as much as possible. Also, you want to try and evade your team from being a victim of that, because we've seen Bards do that just perfectly fine, destroying any potential momentum from any team. So it's gonna be a fun idea to try and put focus over there. I do want to focus a little bit also going back into the mid lane matchup, because obviously the draft priority that they gave to RetroZing, picking the Yone first, is something to mention as well. But this is also Doxa playing the Azir. And yesterday we saw such an impactful Azir performance coming in from Goku, for example. And trying to emulate something like that here from Doxa is going to be really important because of the late game value of the champion. But also because I think that the amount of pressure that the champion can provide is also something that can be difficult to deal with if you're not like a really consistent mid laner, or not yet at the level where you're consistently fighting against Doxa level players. So I'm kind of curious in seeing how RetroZing will respond to that, and if Doxa is just going to be able to run away with the game just from the mid lane, or if we're going to see a much more contested matchup in there and make it so that they can try and fight it out in the longer series as well.
Yeah, I feel like this is something that we had Foles on for a cast while you weren't available back in the playoffs last split. And he really brought it up with Bradley, and it's just something that gets in my mind every time I see these here now, that just when we have these kind of high skill mid laners who have a pretty strong delta against their opponent, at least a perceived one, the Azir just completely dominates the game, and it has such an easy time just completely taking over everything as long as you execute correctly. Got to see it a bunch of times from Bradley last split, but we got to see it yesterday out of Goku. And I think this is another opportunity where Doxa can really just take over if he's able to bully RetroZing, take control over that lane, get to a position where he doesn't have to worry about his opponents in the side lane or in the solo lane, and Ken can just be a massive force once he farms on up and can get over into the team fights. I still think this pick is just a little bit ridiculous, and Doxa getting his hands on it nice and early going to be well appreciated.
I kind of feel like most mid laners would agree with you that the champion is a little bit too ridiculous at almost every point in the history of the game. So not surprised that it gets picked really frequently because of the value that it provides. And it also, we need to remember, since it's fearless, you take it away from your opponent. So if you have a great performance with a champion and you want to stop your opponent from playing it again, You're doing it just like that because of the fact that you can take it away. And this also affects draft strategies, right? Because now when you're looking forward to the next games, Seer is not something that you're going to have to worry about. Same from the Varus. And if you're able to beat champions like this that are really strong, then you will have an upper hand when thinking about what you can try and play for in the next games as well.
Definitely. So we wait to get all of our players into the lobby. Going to be a little bit of extra time before we get into game for this first one. We want to take a look at what our bot lane 2-on-2 will look like. I know we expect both of these bot laners to, or both these supports rather, to really roam around, especially Pika Pika on this Bard, but they are going to have to lane against each other for some period of time, and it's, you know, a little bit of a range advantage over to Baz, but having the double ranged bot lane between Azog and Pika Pika really going to make things difficult for Pocus, especially at level 1 when he's just sitting on the Nautilus hook. It can't really do too much to step up to the waves, so that priority is going to be really helpful for Komodo, particularly if they want to go for some of these early dragons before that unlocked roam really starts to take place.
Yeah, at the very least, that's going to be the attempt to play around with it. There's always also the choice of just trying to play it out the straight up 2v2, and if you have double range, you can almost always try and take advantage out of it with your poke, with your straight up damage. I'm thinking this composition from the side of AMI means that Lucky probably will opt into going a little bit more lethality than going unhit, which it really depends on the occasion, but with the lack of tanks that there is on AMI, I don't see why not opt into the lethality version and try and burst someone out from a safe distance. So taking that into account, the amount of poke they will have in bot lane, the amount of lockdown that they will have in bot lane, it's going to be really ideal to try and maybe force something down there instead of trying to get Pika Pika to move around. But it also feels like it's going to be counterproductive if you don't let Pika Pika move around the map, because with the Bard, you just want to impact other lanes. There's arguments to really make both styles of play just try and be worked around with.
Yeah, and I mean, Colthro is going to have so much backup in this matchup. I really like the Wu calling up against these kind of bruisery junglers. Stone Skin doing a lot to make sure you're going to be able to survive when somebody like a Xin Zhao jumps onto you early on. But Colthro has all this backup, right? He's going to have Alorum again with the heroic entrance able to support him. And again, it's going to be Pika Pika who's able to get outside of lane and going to be able to show up to some of these invades, perhaps even at unexpected angles with magical journeys. So BB really has his work cut out for him here, especially with a mid lane that's going to end up getting pushed in, perhaps. It's going to be tough to be able to feel safe and secure in your own jungle. So you're going to have to be somewhat cautious, both with your health bar and with where you wander away.
Yeah, and also with the way that they probably will try and play the game, and one of the other things to really try and consider going into this first match, it's going to be that jungle matchup that we touched on at the start with the change of junglers and how both of these teams may be trying to play with. But I want to focus on BB this time around, because I think we talked a little bit about Colthro, obviously going from Shimmer to Colthro, kind of a big change in some people's minds, and certainly affects also the way that some would look at Komodo. But I want to look at BB as well, because I feel like the rise of BB has been quite an interesting thing to watch in the ACL. Kind of an unknown. I think, if I'm not wrong, in the previous split, there was quite a bit of a problem with their I'm blanking on the name of the roster. We saw them yesterday. The
Weaver?
No, the other.
Oh, Deathmark.
Yes, Deathmark. So the roster from Deathmark in the previous split, where they were able to reach such a high standing for what Deathmark usually is able to accomplish, BB was a good part of that roster. But we need to remember that for the most part of that split, they played with another jungler because BB wasn't, I'm not sure if it wasn't available or wasn't in there at the time, but they were playing like rotating between junglers for some reason, and they did play like around a little bit with that. And I think BB really still came into play as well, performed really well, and they were just one game away from being able to reach top 8, even more so than just top 12. So I think that BB's performance and the way that he's been able to really rise up in the ACL is something to really look forward to.
For sure. So let's rewind a little bit. Let's chat a little bit about our format while we've got a little bit of extra time before we get started here, because it is a new season and it is a new format with this double GSL approach. And what I need to emphasize here is how quickly you can qualify playoffs if you are as
Yep.
dominant of an early seed as we expect you to be, or if you're able to upset a team that's kind of in that dominant position, right? Because the first and second place finishers out of each of these four GSL groups, they lock playoffs immediately. They will go on to a second four-team GSL bracket, but that's just to decide where they fall in the seeding, right? The first place teams will go off into a four-team GSL bracket. They'll play to get first, second, third, fourth, or third or fourth seed. And then the second seeds out of the GSL bracket will go on out and will determine if they get fifth, sixth, seventh, or eighth. But they are guaranteed playoffs, and they are guaranteed themselves a solid position in those playoffs as well, competing against
Yeah.
some of the weaker teams that come in later on. So you can reach that incredibly quickly here, right? We're already in round two. You win this match, you win the next match, and you make playoffs. And even if you lose that second match, you're still in a pretty good position to be able to potentially, defend and get back over there to be able to qualify, right? The loser of this of that upper bracket, we call it the U5 matchup, will be able to have another shot to be able to qualify a second seed. So you can rush into those playoffs nice and easy with a hot start here. And that's something that you really have to keep in mind if you're a team like Apex Mission Impossible, who are kind of just on that borderline in another world. Maybe they're a pool two team, maybe one or two teams that are in pool two aren't here, and that allows Apex to boost on up. Maybe you have Pocus from the roster from the get-go, and
Yeah.
you win over a few more hearts and minds by being a little more similar to your NACL team. Like, that's also something
Dude.
that's in the cards. So if they're able to take down Komodo here, then you got one matchup against either Citadel or Prosperity. And if you're able to win that, you're in the playoffs. And even if you lose that, you get another go. So you can really catapult yourself pretty deep into the tournament nice and early. And the stakes are already pretty high on these early matchups.
Yeah, I think that thinking about like the previous way that we used to run this in the ACL when it was just the group stage, is that this does mean that yes, the high stakes games start really early, but it also takes away the situation where we reached like the end of the regular split and we had like 0 and 7 teams, right? And those teams were already out, so they were just affecting their matches. And I think that this does mean that at the very least the opportunity to qualify for playoffs at essentially every point means that you always will have a match to play for. Even if you're a lower tier team, like there's always a chance for you to qualify. So I think that this does boost the potential from teams to be more willing to play it out. And yes, that does mean that early on, the favorites more than likely will qualify earlier than other teams just because of how some of the matches will work and the expectations that they have. I also think that this is a really good change for NACL teams that will be participating from now on, because this does mean that in their season they can qualify really early on, not have to take it as seriously maybe at a crucial point in the NACL where they are competing for both teams for both tournaments if they want to. And depending on how everything goes, they can take one or the other more seriously. But I feel like it does give that leeway from the top teams, the ones that we expect to be from NACL or the NACL players that want to play here. But it also incentivizes the lower tier teams to try and work out a little bit more to try and qualify for playoffs and make that narrative be more impactful. I did like the groups from before, but I think that this just means that the competition will be more willing to compete in general.
Yeah, no, I love what we've built for ourselves here, so I'm very excited to see this match. Is already in week two. We've got really high tier, high stakes matchups, and I did hear us load onto Summoner's Rift, so I think we're about ready to get into game number one here very, very shortly. Remember, these teams playing for a spot in the GSL Winterside Finals, playing for a spot to lock in a top four seed in the ACL playoffs. They do, of course, have to worry about Citadel on the other side of the bracket. That's, of course, the Pool 1 team for this group.
An
That's
easy
the
team,
team that's
right?
estimated in the seeding committee's mind to be able to take first seed out of this group. I don't think that's a very hot take. I don't know that you need all the tier 3 qualifications of the world to look at Citadel and say, NACL team, they probably make it. They just won a promo tournament, and they just won an ACL split very, very recently. They are our reigning ACL champions, so they will
Yeah.
definitely come in against as favorites, regardless of who wins today, assuming that they're able to take down Prosperity x APM. That game still being played as well. So Prosperity with a shot to upset here and go on their own little journey to see if they can make an early run to playoffs. So all four of these teams, plenty to play for in this Noxus group today, and that's the case across the board for all 16 teams that are playing today. as I think we are in a pause, as we still are
Of
not in there.
course.
Ah, the game froze. The game froze. So we will get that back up and running as quickly as we can. Continue to circle the drain on format here for a little bit longer. So
Technically
TDS.
not our fault, right?
Oh, we're
Technically.
here.
Oh
We
wait,
made
we're
it.
in.
We did it.
Perfect.
All right.
We didn't need
Komodo.
to joke about Riot. Perfect.
We don't. We don't. Komodo and AMI on to Summoner's Rift. Game number 1 kicking off right now.
Yeah, and we were ranting quite a bit, actually yapping quite a bit, but nothing out of the ordinary has happened yet. Everyone is just staring at each other. I do like the potential there from both Coldthrow and Alarim to try and catch someone by surprise with a early taunt, or maybe Pika Pika actually.
Hook coming on in. Poke
Good
take
trade.
a fair bit of return damage, but Pika Pika will be spotted out, will be hooked in, will take a little bit of a chunk.
Yeah, nothing really big between each side. They did take down a little bit of the health bar from Pika Pika, but nothing is blown away, just a little bit of vision and just a little bit of control for the side of AMI at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. As I'm being told the top scoreboard is wrong. I don't know if it's behind or doesn't seem like it's behind. I'll find out and I will let you all know. Otherwise, RetroZing starting things off with Doxa. While the Azir is still level 1, that is one of those opportunities where you can maybe get a little bit of harass in, find yourself some of that early advantage. Focus trying to get aggressive here, not going to connect the dredge line though, and against double range, that is going to be immediately punished. Azog and Pika Pika going to be able to take Focus to about half, going to get a good chunk there on the Baz, force out the barrier. This lane is already getting rough. Though there are,
yeah, but Hook is back up.
They're just going to try to all in him. He flashes away, but the burst damage is too much. The ignite out of Pocus paying off big time, and now Azog kind of deep behind enemy lines, flashes to the side, still gets taken down. And Baz and Pocus, they trade 2 for 1. Baz will fall down.
Yeah, and I feel like the biggest problem there was Lucky and Pika Pika not respecting the cooldown from the hook. It's fine if you want to follow up after the first hook. I think if you fail that, you are in all your right to follow up and try and go get the kill. The problem is that you have to keep in mind the hook timing, and you need to be ready for it to come back up, and they don't respect that. It goes really badly for them in the continuation play, and then there's not a lot of survivability on Pika Pika compared to Pocus. Pocus will have a lot of resistance early on, will be able to take a little bit more damage from the side of Komodo, especially early level 1 Barris doesn't have the repeat potential from the poke to really come through, and that just means that they get a pretty early first blood and a pretty easy control of the bot lane now thanks to that.
Yeah, I mean, what a fantastic start if you're the AMI bot lane. Getting immediately the results they were hoping for, and it was this Ezreal that Baz was able to be so successful on yesterday, and this is definitely going to be a good start for him, getting a kill and an assist, already stacking up the tier. They have no problem staying competitive in this lane and in this game as it continues to drag on by getting that early advantage. It is a tier coming through for Azog as well. So the only difference going to be that refillable potion. Did both end up with kills when all is said and done. You get to get a little bit of a break in the action now as so many summoners down from both sides of the bottom lane, although Alorum and Decoy still trading back and forth, both chunked out below half.
Yeah, both of them trading quite a bit. Like, there's still the thing where you need to be careful about how you're trying to go for the straight. Top lane, though, because of how some of this matchup will work out, yes, they can do a lot of damage thanks to that flamethrower, but the shield will always come clutch for Alorum there to try and take a little bit of that damage away from a lot of those trades. I also want to notice a little bit about the junglers, because we have not seen a lot of jungle interaction so far this game. Both of them are just straight up farming, trying to contest with each other, but not really fighting it out or trying to find a jungle, an angle inside of the jungle or inside of the lanes to really look for each other. Oh,
Hook connects out of Pocus. It is going to be
so much damage.
About half HP. We've seen this song and dance before, and once again, it's going to make things tough for the Komodo bottom lane. Getting connected onto by these dredge lines, not able to keep track of where Pocus is hiding, and suffering losses as a result. Got the hot cocoa brewing from Pika Pika underneath the turret to try to keep them sustained on up, but Baz and Pocus not relenting on this pressure, and no presence from Coldthrow on this side of the map means it's just going to keep happening.
Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of attention here from the jungler, and that means that they can try and keep on pressing if they want to. That being said, one of the biggest things also for Komodo to really consider here is that because of the early game blunder that they had with both of them dying, this also means that now there's going to be more pressure onto locking the bot lane. That also means that you cannot open up space for Pika Pika to try and roam around, because if Lucky gets consistently attacked, consistently hooked, consistently killed, he's just going to be completely irrelevant in this game. So I think that you're forcing now Pika Pika to affect the way that he's playing this game, and the rest of the team has to also be impacted because of that.
Yeah, and seeing that Azog and Pika Pika are having difficulty even really like punishing Pocus when these hooks don't go the way that you're hoping for. Connects one onto a minion there and just kind of walks away, not really any worse for wear. Gonna be feeling plenty good with how he can continue to just exert this pressure with the level advantage that he and Baz have for themselves. They're gonna look for another fight here. Focused in with the flash. BB arrives from the jungle. Focused on a Pika Pika. Way too squishy on the bar. There's another dredge line on Azog. And it's 2 more to Apex Mission Impossible.
Great timing there by BB to arrive just when they were trying to play a little bit more aggressive in that position, and already such a good early start for the side of AMI. It's not only the fact that you get 2 kills on your bot lane, the fact that you're denying so much from Azog down there in the bot side, but also that the Xin Zhao gets here, doesn't do anything, and in comparison, BB gets a kill and an assist. So it's going to be much stronger, this Wukong at this point in the game, and really close to reaching that level 6 mark where everything just becomes much better for the Wukong.
Absolutely. Oh, good job by BB. Arrives to cement the lead for Baz and Pocus and even get himself a little bit of extra credit while he's working on it. And going to build up a little bit over a 1k gold lead. Almost all of that surely concentrated in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, on the other sides, things going just fine for the likes of RetroZing and Decoy. They are sticking pretty close in farm. That's not going to do enough to be able to offset the lead that's being built up by Baz. Oh, feeling pretty good here about how they have done on the AMI side with this early game so far. But Cutthroat does arrive just to start off this dragon. And this is as a wave is crashing, so Komodo should be able to claim this with Doxa's Prio from mid.
I'm surprised that the one that is doing the best so far is retrosing against Doxa. Actually, the one that has been more consistent so far, doing really good in lane and has not died at all. So really good job by retrosing so far in the mid lane, denying Doxa from accomplishing anything at all. And with that first dragon, that even though AMI had the advantage bot lane but isn't able to contest, at the very least they're staying on top of them as much as possible on the side of Komodo. May lose the grubs because they're already trying to move around a little bit near that area with the Wukong already near the position. And maybe with the next push, the same can be said for Pocus trying to move around topside. But it's still good that they are able to get an objective and try and play with that as well.
Yep. Komodo get themselves there first, and not going to be any grubs at spawn, at least, from Apex. They did send BB back to base during that time. He's redeploying here, but he's going to be late. Cutthroat already starting this one off. Pika Pika and route up. Decoy with a little moment of prio, but it's dangerous to step up over here. He can get collapsed on by 3. He's going to have to take a more conservative path as BB is approaching from the jungle.
Yeah, they are trying to get there really quickly. 2 of them already down. They have a better position, and with Pika Pika also being here already, means that they cannot try and contest the third one. Really good movement coming in by the side of Komodo there, and surprised that they might just let it go like that. They already had position before because of how the Wukong got there, and they had the opportunity to try and get the control themselves, but instead they opt into backing away, opt into giving a little bit more time for BB to maybe get another component, and it's just going to mean that that's 3 grubs for the side of Komodo. 2 objectives already completed for them, and there's nothing much that AMI can do right now apart from farm.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a rough moment for AMI there, as they still send members up, even though they're not able to contest and get any of the grubs. So that also then gives a free reset over to the likes of Azog. He's able to go back, spend some money, crash a wave, not have to worry about missing out on anything from wave manipulation. So good stuff for Komodo to kind of get themselves a little foothold back into the game with this early objective control. So it'll also give them a pathway towards the feats, depending on who is able to walk away with the first turret. Doxa getting pressured back by RetroZing here, though, going to lose about half of his HP. And like you said, RetroZing been doing a pretty solid job in this lane.
Yeah, Jermaine really is looking like probably the one that is performing the best so far for the side of AMI. Obviously, we cap kills in other places, but the fact that you're able to take into a matchup that you're expected to not be the best at and do so well, it speaks really well for this Retro Sync to how he's playing right now, and maybe for how the team wants him to play as well. Now, trying to get a little bit more vision control, Dragon's still a bit away before they can actually try and force a fight for it, but trying to get the early control, especially around these Ezreal, not going to be a bad choice. And also because of the Ezreal being ahead, that means that you open up space for them to try and play a little bit more away from the Ezreal as well.
Decoy going to overheat here, looking like he's going to be able to get a reset forced out of Alorum. A little ways to go until that next dragon, so it's fighting over little bits and pieces wherever they can find them. It was a reset taken by Komodo there not long ago. Redeploys back out of the map. Shuffle back from Doxa. Tries to get Retro Zing underneath the turret. Does force him to take a shot. And will open up space for Doxa to be able to take a recall of his own. Everybody trying to arm up before this dragon shows up in about 90 seconds.
Yeah, they probably don't want to try and force so much before the dragon, especially with a potential death, and because of the time, the ultimate is not going to be failed at all. They're going to have it just back up for it. That being said, Retro Sync still has his and has flash, so they can try and maybe attempt at trying to go for a kill on Doxa. Oh, all through.
Try to back away. Retro Zing gets tagged by the wind, becomes lightning, and will be forced to flash. Nicely done by Komodo. Will drive by gank, gets a summoner spell out. Decoy, by the way, has continued to interrupt this reset from Alorum. I don't think it's going to actually stop him from being able to show up to this dragon, and now Decoy, without TP advantage, is going to have to just stick his way up here. Never mind, actually, Alorum TPing right back up, so dragon not the first thing on Komodo's mind here. They're more concerned about the wave.
They do have a bit more ultimate value from the Galio in the sense that he can try and join from a much safer distance, but it's still interesting that that's the option they go for with that teleport, and what they're going to try and accomplish with it. Dragon in 30 seconds could be the next choice for them to try and go for, and everyone seems to be trying and resetting for being able to contest that objective.
Yeah, it feels like AMI just a little bit late to this one, and that likely means that they're going to lose a second dragon here. I would be shocked if that's not the result. Look at Doxa just ripping into this tower. Gets Retro Zing in an unfortunate reset and gets 2 plates for it. Things going on towards the bottom side. This is actually a late reset from Azog and Pika Pika as well, so dragon not even going to be started on spawn, actually.
They already spawned, but it doesn't look like they are going to try and go for it immediately. Probably waiting to see if they can catch someone off guard and then move in with an ultimate, with a huge ultimate from the Wukong, from the Nautilus. A lot of ultimate value that they can play with. Great evasion there.
Dodge on that dredge line. Komodo going to be guided into the river by the rest of his teammates. Trades going on in the top lane. Look at all these pings in and around the dragon pit. Decoy taken to about half. Going to take another Winds of War to chunk him down even lower. And Alorum having used that TP to rejoin top lane means this is just going to be its own thing. A flash in from Decoy trying to melt out Alorum and not quite going to finish him off. Meanwhile, Tempered Fate connected to the bottom side. It's on to Pocus. He's getting blown up by the piercing arrow. Doxa with a big shuffle back onto the rest of the team, but BB's in the middle of 3. Cyclone knocks up multiple. He has to flash back out. Retro Zing rejoins the play. Gets Fate sealed onto 2. But no follow-up damage, no E available, means he's going to go down for a double kill to Azog. Komodo, 3 for 0 on the second dragon fight.
Yeah, they're turning around in that play. Second dragon fight so well by Komodo. They are able to set themselves up for success really effectively there by forcing really early on onto Focus. They go for the support, they burst the support, and also importantly, the way that they were separated for the fight, because BB wasn't able to get a good ultimate down to multiple members. He was just able to get one knock up onto the Bard and then trying to move maybe near the barriers as well, but it didn't work out. They were unable to find the right angle, and because of how long it took, it just enabled Komodo to have multiple rotations of his spells and a lot of damage as well.
And the classic combo is a little disrupted there. BB gets shuffled back by the Emperor's Divide in between casts 1 and 2. Cyclone means that he doesn't get kind of that big combo on a cross. And Retro Zing snapped back to Soul Unbound before he cast Fate Sealed, so he doesn't get to double dip on the bonus damage because of it. And it means it puts him deep into the enemy jungle where he's able to be chased down and finished off. All in all, Komodo, better positioning and better execution, able to come up with a big fight win there to get them back to parity in the kill count and into the gold lead.
Yeah, and because of what you were mentioning, it also makes it so that the difference that was before, apart from the gold lead that is very minuscule, is also now going to be more apparent, because yes, they may have lost the the team fight and also a little bit of the gold lead, but I feel like the dragon count is the one that is more important. They already have 2 dragons in their favor. I would say that they are playing a composition that is more reliant on the 2-item to 2.5-item power spike than Komodo, and in that case, if the game goes longer because AMI gets another dragon or things like that, it's going to be more beneficial for Komodo. The longer the game goes, I think the better the composition becomes, and it also makes it so that you don't want to play against it like that. Just giving them more time and space could be much worse than just having fought it in general.
Yeah, Rift Herald on the table, AMI with 4 members around it. Looking like they have some degree of interest, but Pocus is taking a reset here, wants to re-up on wards, having just thrown down a bunch into this topside river. And fighting over mid-control Baz, feeling plenty safe on this Ezreal with the early kills it was able to secure. And now more than ever, the weight is on his back. He needs to be the one to be able to perform in these fights, to be able to find the right targets and utilize that early gold that he secured for himself, because it's not coming in the form of skirmishes.
Yeah, now looking a little bit aggressive. They're trying to go for maybe a pick on the side. But like you're mentioning, it feels like Baz is going to be the one not only that needs to step it up, but cover for his dead. Oh, decoy.
Yeah, he's got nowhere to go. A nice collapse from Pika Pika puts the magical journey behind him, and Decoy, without flash, has no good options.
Yeah, they are able to get the kill into a pretty mobile rumble down there in the bot side, and that means that they can try and collapse onto the turret, although BB is here to stop it, probably going to get some of his minions, and that's going to be about it. The next dragon also need to take into account, it's going to be the Chemtech dragon, and if they can get at the very least an attempt at trying to fight it, probably could work out for the side of Komodo. But they don't need to. They realistically don't need to at this point where they already have the gold lead, the dragon lead, and the kill lead even. They have everything in their favor to just play it up and wait a little bit longer before they win.
And not insignificant here either is that first turret is going to give over feats, although there's a big stun from Pika Pika onto RetroZing, gets him with the Cosmic Binding against the wave. And it will be RetroZing off the map. Some alone time in top lane. That was Tempered Fate cast nowhere from Pika Pika. I think that's a misclick if I've ever seen one.
You can see as they are backing, they probably think that that's the backing animation, actually not the ultimate animation. That's a mistake coming through. Pika Pika is human, it can happen to all of us, but they're looking for a potential dive here onto Aloran, but I don't think it's doable. Minion wave very little. Tank Galio as well. It's just really difficult for it to work out that way, and with that in mind, they are just going to keep on pushing here, but there's already a couple of members ready to respawn. The barriers, Pika Pika already moving down towards the bot side, and then also you have the Xin Zhao ready to react as well.
Yeah, I mean, surely he was just like typing timers or something, right? Either way, that first turret picked up topside off that kill. Well done by Pika Pika. Will give feats over to Komodo, so they get the upgraded boots. They get access to the tier 3 boots once they've got tier legendary items done a piece. And they are sitting pretty coming into this next Dragon Spawn in 45 seconds. This is where AMI gonna need to piece this Wombo combo together via the Wukong, Yone, and Rumble to be able to secure it for themselves and kind of pull themselves back into this game. They're only down about 2k gold. They certainly have some play in this fight. They just need to be able to execute the composition.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to fall a lot on what they can do with their composition, which they still have great ultimates, don't get me wrong, but how much space will they be able to get them down for us? Doxa trying to escape, and he is able to escape. Really unlucky there, because I like the idea, but not able to stop Doxa before he throws out the ultimate, not able to stop him before he tries to run away. Means that you lost a little bit of time there, you're losing mid lane, and now you're even going to get another turret potentially collapse on your face.
Well, and you're not going to have Cyclone for the Dragon Spawn, right? I mean, it's here. Yeah. They're taking the Rift Herald as a quick little all-access train over to that Lizard, and there's not going to be any chance of being able to piece together that team fight. Now, BB is Cyclone-less, so this is going to be a freebie for Komodo. They're going to get out of Soul Point for basically nothing. RetroZing's going to get to wail on this turret for a little bit, but even Pika Pika creating a fast track for Doxa to be able to come over here and defend. He's just going to go and attack this wave, and I don't think this dive is in the cards. It's just all kind of falling apart here for AMI. They were cooking something, but it got burned.
I think they are kind of cooking way too much because they are trying to look for multiple ingredients. They are trying to put everything in the pot, but it's not really meshing well enough that you can keep on looking like that. And that just means that if you're playing as Komodo is doing right now, where they are a little bit more controlled, more on the waiting side to see what they can do, it's just going to disrupt the game plan for AMI, and it's going to punish them really heavily like it's happening right now. The gold lead may be only 3,000, but the way that the map is overrating is just in favor of Komodo in every sense.
Otacon spawning up now at the 20-minute mark. Another prize to play for in and around this dragon. And what that probably means is that the winner of this fight over Soul Drake will also claim the Otacon if they're able to win it definitively enough. And I mean, that very well maybe decide the game right there. So picking Time Bomb going off in this bottom side and already starting to duke it out over Vision for it, our Komodo and AMI. We can get onto these item spikes and knowing that the game is going to break wide open on that spawn.
Yeah, but now we're waiting for the next spawn, it seems like, because there's not a lot of action that they are trying to look for. Vision is all around the map, but it's not forcing any sort of fight or anything like that. And we're probably just going to wait until the next objective, it feels like. Waiting until the big fight that will define everything. And with the current state of the game, it really feels like the next time they fight for something, be it Dragon or Baron, but Dragon is going to be closer to than the Baron, it really feels like they are just going to unlock the potential to close out this game. It's between killing Baron or killing the enemy team and being able to win the game after that, or how long will it take after that to be able to win the game. But it's really setting up like that for Komodo, it feels like.
And look, man, it brings me no joy to just be glazing his ear every game, but look at Doxa. He's already up to 2 items plus an extra needlessly. He might be a 3-item Azir coming into this next fight compared to RetroZing, who's still trying to complete his 2nd legendary item. Doxa also going to have access to upgrade the boots if he wants to, get some of that percentile penetration. I don't know if that's what he needs right now, as nobody's really itemizing for MR. I would try to finish off another item, but it's going to be so good for him either way. It's going to be another Muramana upgrade coming out across in the form of Azog, and Komodo are sitting pretty here. It's going to be all about Doxa needing to stay safe, and he's done a great job of it so far.
Yeah, especially with a little bit more of the idea that you have the bar, the Xinjiao, and the Galio to try and set yourself up. You can try and do that with the Seer really effectively here, as they are looking for the Otacon, and it looks like they are going to try and rush it here because only the Yoni is not here. He does have teleport, but everyone else is actually setting up. There's going to be a little bit of a disastrous play because of the angles. Look at where Pocus is even coming.
RetroZing, yeah, I mean, it's the early Otacon start, but AMI is wise to it. Here comes the ultimate, although that equalizer isn't stolen away by BB, though. They're rocking the Otacon buff now. It will cost them RetroZing, but they need to disengage. They don't want to lose too much extra. RetroZing will be back in time for Dragon, and that is a free Otacon buff and a big injection of XP into the AMI squad.
Yeah, and it really feels like there was no need to try and force it over there if you're on the side of Komodo, because realistically, even though I understand why you want to try and take it, you don't need to. You're already in the driver's seat. You already have all the or a good amount of gold in your favor at this point. You're reaching power spikes on your barriers, on your Seer, really importantly with that 3rd item marked. Even the Galio is becoming tankier, and forcing a fight here for the sake of forcing a fight just feels like you're trying to equal things out without needing to.
And again, I mean, AMI, it's a win for them because they get the smite steal on the 50-50 from BB, right? That's a punish on a mistake from Komodo, and we'll give them credit for it. But again, the teamfight tools do not come together. Both BB and Decoy ult there, but they are nowhere near each other, and the equalizer is barely touching anything. He was trying to sync up with Pocus's depth charge, but even that doesn't work out, although here's one that will. They find themselves Pika in the jungle and force out his flash.
Yeah, and now looking at how they are trying to set themselves up here with, once again, how quiet this game turns into after they have a big fight or one big moment with one of the few objectives that there is, just means that now they are going to try and look for something a little bit more heavier. Probably a dragon that is spawning in 30 seconds, the sole point for the side of Komodo, and another way for these barriers to really become scary with a really great poke from a safe distance.
For sure. 3 dragons secured for Komodo. And the soul on the line. AMI drawing Battle Lines already trying to keep control over this river. The mid wave will go over towards Komodo, so they will have a safe path on in. Alorum, maybe a little early to the party, though. They're going to try to collapse on him early. He flashes away, uses the Grand
Oh, the ult gets canceled.
Gets hit by the Cyclone, and is picked off. It's now a 5 versus 4. AMI with the numbers. Komodo instead going to full send it in through the mid lane. They can get an inner turret here. They can delay the soul by 5 minutes. This is a wise call by Komodo. Here comes the equalizer, trying to burn away the wave. Won't be able to save the turret. Will still be a win for AMI nonetheless.
Yeah, still Komodo getting the opportunities that they can, trying to force a little bit onto the tier 2 turret, and it did work to a certain degree, but certainly killing Alarum in that situation was so big. Not only for getting the dragon, getting a little bit more goal into your favor, but also the way that you're opening up the opportunity for them to try and collapse onto the dragon was really, really important. Really good job there by AMI, and we need to see them try and do something similar here once again. Try and kill the Baron now, try and kill another member. It's going to be disengaged, yeah.
I like that Komodo's still fishing around to try to steal these objectives, and that right there, that's what they needed to do on the Otacon. Once they see that they're spotted, you just got to peel off. You don't have to finish the objective every time, and that does mean that AMI, it's not really a win for them. They just spot out that the Baron's been started, and Komodo stops it and goes and takes their resets.
Yeah, everyone's just reasoning pretty much right now. So they are waiting for the next dragon. They are waiting for the next big objective. Baron's still there, but I don't think we're going to see much fighting around it just because it is quite difficult to take it down, and you can end up losing the game if you're not careful enough there. But so apart from that, everything just in a pretty straightforward spot, pretty comfortable, nothing out of the ordinary. Very mild compared to yesterday's games, I would say, where there were more kills.
Yeah, I think both these teams playing a little bit more controlled. You expect that. A lot of experience on all of these rosters. A lot of deep OQ runs sometime in the NACL split amongst these rosters. And Retrozing keeping the pressure on towards Alorum. This is a much better matchup for AMI. They love to have the Yone facing off up against the Galio, and they'll tolerate the Rumble against the Azir.
Makes you question if maybe not opting into something else in the top lane could have been the difference maker here, because for all that I do think the Rumble is able to accomplish, I still think that you're probably better off just trying to play it out as much as possible, like not let them get as much as they want.
Well, fight could potentially break out over this Baron. Anybody were to start it, but wave getting shoved in here by Retrozing. The call has been to get Alorum out of that matchup and to shift over Doxa. They do get the wave pushed up pretty far here, and this is a little bit of a window for Retrozing to roam over towards mid. See if this flank is going to end up producing anything. Azog is up a little bit far, clearing out vision. They are going to be able to pop his Banshees. He's forced to flash away as BB comes on in. Retrozing going to get spotted out by the Tempered Fate. Going to pop the Fate.
Cancel there.
Blocked by Cold Throw. Now he's got a flash. Here comes Alorum with the heroic entrance, and Komodo are 5 members strong. AMI able to kite back in time to be able to keep themselves safe. And all in all, it's just an exchange of resources. A big look from Focus connects on towards Alorum, but the follow-up damage not quite there. Azog gets tagged once again by the True Shot Barrage. Look at the equalizer. Azog with nowhere to go, burning lower and lower, and BB's gonna find him. Here comes Focus with the dredge line, sucks in another. It gives that shutdown over to Retrozing. And with 2 members down, AMI make a beeline to the Baron.
Every ability went flying, but at the end they are able to find Azog in multiple situations. There are multiple difficult situations. Really important ultimate there by Boss to set up the remaining health bar so that he can end up getting the kill. And also the body block coming in from his own team, not allowing for him to move quicker to the side, makes it so that he gets trapped in the flames and ends up dying. With that, Baron buff in the favor of AMI. That also means that now the dragon in 1 minute and 10 could be theirs as well, and they are going to start stacking those Hextech souls, that extra attack speed, that really great value that you get from the dragon, and turn that into maybe a little bit more of the standing gold that is still in the map.
AMI not out of this one yet. They bring the kill gold back to even, and they are now ahead in gold for the first time in a while. Trying to use this Baron to exert some control over the Dragon Pit will be plenty easy for them. There is a pushing wave at the bottom side. that somebody's going to have to deal with. Olorem, though, coming in on the side. Did Olorem go too early? Once again, Tempered Fate comes on across, connects only on a decoy, but Olorem's been down, no problem. RetroZing shows up with the extra damage. BB going to get executed down by Doxa. That does mean no jungler for AMI. AMI need to be able to get a little bit more out of this fight now. Otherwise, the Dragon going to be a major risk with BB down for 40 seconds.
Yeah, no jungler means that next dragon is going to be a good fighting point for the side of Komodo. They need to find an angle maybe that they can try and make the most out of. But the problem here is that with no smite, you're going to be victim of whatever the other. Oh, wait.
Oh, everything on Nicole throw. He gets taken down about 500. Does pop the Crescent Guard to keep himself alive. Critical hook connected by Pocus there. One of many in this game that are keeping Apex Mission Impossible in this decoy. Flashing in with the flame spitter. Knows he needs to force back Komodo. Knows he needs to buy time for BB. It's a TP into the bottom lane. Coming out of RetroZing. Looking for a flank.
Oh, the ult is so good.
There's the magical journey to try to escape. But Pika has been isolated. He does pop that Tempered Fate to be able to get himself on out. Or rather, that was Cosmic Binding. And it will be a disengage, but still forced off the Dragon. AMI are able to collect on their promised objective, and they have now stopped the Soul twice in a row.
Yeah, the value from the team fighting there, the ultimates coming in together, setting themselves up. Oh, I don't think it's enough damage for Azog here.
Just gonna turn this one right back onto him. RetroZing, a solo kill. Azog gets too big for his britches and is punished in turn. 3-item Yone doing its job.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're not respecting that position of the Yone with those 3 items. And you're Barris with lethality and also 3 items, but you're going to just get immediately destroyed before you're even able to accomplish anything. And that's exactly what happened. Komodo really kind of getting against the ropes here a little bit with what they are not able to accomplish. And also, once again, the gold lead in favor of AMI.
More and more money into AMI's pockets. And starting to pull ahead at about as big of a gold lead as we've seen from either side this game. 3K to their favor. The constant threat of the soul from Komodo is something, but AMI have responded very nicely over the last 10-ish minutes. See if they're going to be able to keep that one up. But once again, with a window on the map where they are the stronger team, and they're going to spy Pika coming out of base. He's picked it. He's going to fall down before he can do anything.
That ultimate as well by decoy. That's so much damage, and they can try and follow if they want to, but
whoa, Baz.
Okay, right.
Baz over the wall, getting a little deeper.
Oh, they wanted
keep on sending it. Here comes the heroic entrance, but so RetroZing finds Doxa in the back line. Rather, that was Azog, and will be able to finish him off. And just like that, 2 picks to AMI.
And just like that, with the way that they are able to try and make it work out in that situation, it really feels like AMI is now, like, just like that, they are keep on fighting against Coldthrow, finding Coldthrow, and denying him entrance into the jungle. Oh. Like, they don't feel fear at this point of the game. They are opting into being able to attack multiple times the side of Komodo, and when that happens, it just means that they are able to push them away from the jungle. There's no objective just yet, because the timers are still showing that the Baron and the Dragon are not going to be up there just now, but when you're able to push them away, you keep the control of the jungle in your favor, and you're at the very least buying more time for yourself to later on get more vision, later on get more control, and kill multiple targets now. And one thing that is scary now because of how the way ended up going is that, yes, Doxa can try and fight in the side lane against...
Doxa nearly going to be able to finish him off. Will not be able to do it. RetroZing and Doxa going toe-to-toe once again. Doxa able to avoid giving up his first death.
Yeah, but that is flash for flash, and I think at this point in the game you value Doxa's flash a little bit more than RetroZing, because RetroZing wants to go in, yes, but he can use the Soul Unbound to try and kind of play around that. Where if Doxa goes in and has no flash, no Sanjas, which he doesn't, I think he's playing a more attack from the side kind of build, then he's not going to be enough to be able to keep him alive. And Doxa dying in most situations would probably be the end of the game for Komodo because of the lack of consistent damage that they have with Azog going the lethality build.
Yeah, for sure. Azog thinking he would be able to burst out in multiple cases this game, but not quite working out, and the spell shield not keeping him safe from these invades or engages. AMI done a good job keeping those popped away. Less than 90 seconds to go once again on this upcoming Dragon, and the battle over mid control is raging. AMI keeping Pocus up at the front line, threatening with those dredge lines that have been so critical throughout this game. But double flank from Retrozing and BB trying to piece together the team fight once again.
Yeah, trying to look for it really aggressively, trying to look for it in the best manner possible. This turret here trying to deny the engage, although, oh.
Stepping up forward, Alorum looking for a toggle.
How the damage.
Find it on it towards that Wukong clone. Meanwhile, Doxa loses over half his HP. And AMI will take that as a little bit of a tempo win. It is only the cost of the equalizer and the depth charge, which is not nothing. But it will force Doxa off the play for a short while. He's TPing back.
Yeah, it is something to really take into account, even with the teleport here. I think for AMI is the biggest thing, right? Because 3 ultimates down, 2 really important. Oh, they catch Ezreal.
Oh, try to get it on towards Baz. Top of that barrier. Does get the flash on down. Staying up. Shifts away. Doxa's down, and Baz is not. Cold throw in a 1 versus 2 will get cut down by Retrozing. And Baz now, no more dive tools available. He's untouchable as he secures a triple kill for Retrozing. AMI win the fight once again, and they're about to get their 3rd Dragon in a row.
Yeah, and Baz surviving with all his might there. That was a perfect ultimate coming in by Pika Pika. Catching Ezreal on the tip of his arcane shift out of the fight, and then the flash had to be perfect for him to be able to escape. He doesn't even pop the flash right. Like, he gets stunted by Alorum at the perfect timing there, and you have to give full props there to both Retrozing and BB, because they catch Doxa at the time that I think he was trying to look for the attempt that going on to Baz, and as soon as they kill the Asir, Lucky or Azok has to play off of his cooldowns. But when his cooldowns are down, you don't kill the Ezreal, there's not enough continuous damage to win the fight, and we just saw it there. They need to burst out the Ezreal with no Azir, or the Azir needs to be left alive for as long as possible. Neither of those things happen, and the team fight just works out so well for AMI. And Retrozing started the game 0-3. He's 6-3 now. Since that point onwards, he hasn't died, and he's been extremely impactful in those team fights.
3-item Yone doing a lot of work and going for the
That's a priority.
Ow, as well as ooh, going to be a little bit of a fight getting engaged here. It's going to be Alorum caught out on top of the equalizer, going to get a turn fire onto him, and there's going to be Cold Throw getting chunked on out as well, forced to pop that ultimate. In comes Retrozing from the side, try to get in there with the Fate Sealed. Will only be able to get a little bit of additional poke damage, but will force an ultimate out of Alorum, and that is all of Komodo's ultimates used defensively as they are pushed further and further back into their base.
Yeah, they are not able to stop the push coming in from the side of AMI, and even though almost every ultimate is down, bar the Wukong's ultimate, that still means that they are not able to stop the push coming in through here. And Series doing a good job trying to collect some gold. I think giving up just 1 inhibitor with the way the game is right now, probably not the end of the word for Komodo, but it's going to be really bad if they don't get more control back in their favor. And one of the biggest problems that Komodo's composition has is that even though I do think that later on can be great, they lack a straightforward way to try and force an engage. It looked like it was going to be Pika Pika's tempered fade, the way to make it work out like that. But the biggest issue with that is that if you don't catch the Ezreal, the Yone in a perfect timing there, the re-engage from the rest of the team can be really massive. And also the way that you would like to try and maybe explode someone is by having Doxa committing there as well. But he has no Sunjaz. Oh, Cold Throw.
Over the wall, everybody on towards Cold Throw, trying to escape, still has the Cyclone on top of him. There's the equalizer. Cold Throw is pinned inside the pin, and they will be a fish in a barrel, gunned down by Baz. 2 kills, back to AMI, and they're going to keep this push going.
Is that gunned down when it's an arrow, bow and an arrow user like the Varus?
It's magic. It can be whatever we want it to be. I think he chooses to make it a bow and arrow kind of shape.
Well, is he like really a Darkian actually?
I have no idea, man. I'm so out of sync with the lore. I know Arcane, and that's it now. They've revamped it too many times.
They changed everything with low and love. Oh, Pika Pika.
There's going to be Tempered Fate missing, only connecting on a Pika Pika.
Maybe that's going
to line him up for the Equalizer True Shot Barrage combo. Whatever weapon you want to call it, Maz is connected each and every shot. As Alorum going to go into the Stasis Decoy, going to do the same on the side, and Baz going to be waiting
they have
for
so much damage now.
Comes out. AMI pick up 2 more, and we'll keep on taking down inhibitors. That's going to be all 3 into the pockets of Apex Mission Impossible as they continue to rain fire on towards Colthrow. Baz, unstoppable inside the enemy base, and will continue to push deeper and deeper. RetroZing has TP'd back in. AMI looking to close out right here, right now, and they will successfully pick off Azog. They're going to make it Pika Pika as well. It's another ace to Apex, and it's game number 1 going their way as well.
Yeah, it's going to be game 1 for AMI. They had a clear idea with their composition. They had team fight ultimates to play with, but I think the biggest thing that we have to commend is the way that they ended up playing around that, right? Because there was a point in the game where it was really looking like the game was going to go Komodo side. You can see it in the gold graph there. They had a strong Barras, they had a really good control with the Asir and the Xinjiao as well, and it was looking like it was going to be difficult to kill this tank Galio because they were doing damage but not to a huge amount. But a huge fight in one of the dragon fights turned it around. If I'm not wrong, I think it was the I'm not sure if it was the action fight or dragon fight, but it was around the area where they find a really good team fight, ultimates coming in really effectively, and it really allowed them to come back into the game effectively. And huge props to Baz as well, because I don't think he ever misplayed in this game. He played the only thing you could say is a misplay is Pika Pika finding him in the exact moment when he was arcane shifting, and I wouldn't even call that a mistake. I think that's Pika Pika finding him perfectly, but it didn't even matter because he was positioning well, doing damage, and doing a lot for the team as well.
Yeah, I agree. Really, really good game out of Baz there. A clear MVP for the side of AMI. We were calling out during that blue section of the gold graph you're looking at there that it's going to have to be Baz. He's going to have to be able to show up in these team fights, and he very much did. Great job holding on at the very end there, giving up 3 dragons and then fighting their way back for AMI. Now put them up 1-0 in this series, and a shot to be able to take down a Pool 2 team and make your way on towards that GSL Group Finals. Great stuff here out of the AMI squad.
Yeah, it's a great way to start a game. We did take a little bit of time because it went into the 38-minute mark. I think one of the longer games we've had so far. In a 3-game sample size, obviously, for our side, but looking like at the very least a really strong team to really consider so far. And I want to see how the game 2 will go on now, because this first game obviously had really strong champions. We had both the Asir and the Barrows, 2 really strong meta champions right now, taking away just like that in the first game, and they lost as well. So now with 2 really strong champions out, and also you end up losing that match, you have to really reconsider on the side of Komodo what their priorities will end up being, and how they kind of want to play this game out as well.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to find out as we get to the draft for game number 2. We're going to throw to a quick break for that shortly. But first, I do want to give a shout out to Zen Market. Zen Market is your one-stop solution for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy items from over 10,000 shops in Japan, as well as place bids on auctions on your behalf. They'll even consolidate all the items safely into one box and can ship internationally. They provide excellent customer service in 19 languages, which is why Zen Market is trusted by over 2 million users worldwide. Check out the panel below the stream or click the link in the chat to try them out now. And if you sign up with promo code Aegis, you will get 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. In addition, check out the special viewer giveaway by typing !giveaway in the chat for a chance to win a Nintendo 64. Thank you very much, Zen Market, both for the giveaway and for supporting the ACL as always. We'll be back after a short break as we get into game number 2.
日本にはまだある？急がないと在庫があるのはそこだ。遅かった。そう、そのフィギュアを一つだけ譲ってくれんやろか。お前はんだよ、同志じゃねえか。もちろん取引しようや。はあありがとう、全マーケット。
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the ACL, where we have got game number 2 coming up between Apex Mission Impossible and Komodo. AMI with a big comeback in game number 1 to be able to find themselves the win. Now looking to see if they can take it to a 2-0 sweep. They now find themselves 3-0 in this ACL season. Not a bad start, TDS.
Yeah, no games lost, only wins, only victories, and with really good performances as well. I think having played the previous game out, they did a really good job once again at trying to hold on to the gold lift that they had against themselves and then being able to turn around really effectively. Really good performances by their players. I think obviously the ones that jump more into attention have to be in the mid lane and in the top lane, I think, particularly because they were going to be two of the more contested points to try and look into, but then obviously Baz as well playing really, really well. And as we jump into the pick and ban phase, keeping pretty similar bans to the previous game. I think the win was also banned away in the 6 as well. Yeah, so far all the same bans. It's just missing the buy.
Yeah, not looking to change up too much. Still keeping that Ziggs ban, that Lucian ban, keeping Baz off of some of that comfort, which, given how well he was able to play on the Ezreal, might end up being a big benefit for you. The Scion ban going to change things up a little bit, and the Vi going to be insta-locked by Komodo. Do AMI take the chance to steal away this Talia?
Yeah, interesting choice, because actually now that I remembered it, in the previous game it was a Kali ban at third. And then they gave up the Varus first pick. Now they live up the buy and then pick up the Sire Rakan duo. So the Lovers duo going to come here. I think for Pocus taking the Rakan, really good choice, because Pocus is a really good engaged player, trying to lock down a really nice pick for him early on. Not a bad choice. And as far as AD carries go, there's still quite a few options, so it's not like you're going to be pigeonholed into a really bad spot for Komodo. But having the duo with the Sire is always going to be really ideal. Like the Sivir though, the Spell Shield plus the wave clear, always really good to have.
And a clear Talia angle to me. I mean, the Xayah is a great pick into the Vi, but the Talia is good into the Rakan and is incredibly synergistic with the Vi. You see comps at every level of play built around the Vi Talia duo. I mean, snap up the Rel if you really want it, Pika Pika, but give my boy Doxa a hand here. Like, it's... I mean, maybe that's the point. Maybe they don't want Doxa on something like the Talia. Maybe they want him on something that he can have more individual impact with. I mean, you're going to lose the Talia, though. There it goes. It's going to be in RetroZing's hands now. We'll see if this pays off for Komodo, but that's a thumbs down from Gordo to start things off.
Well, they at the very least take the Talia on the side of AMI, so it's going to be nice seeing them play around with it as much as they can. That being said, taking away the Talia here means that there's going to be, once again, focus towards the jungle pool against BB. They're going to ban away some of the remaining junglers that are available. Once again, the Jarvan and the Lee Sin jump into mind for myself, but there's still others to really look into that you can try and make the most out of. The Ambessa also is an interesting choice here, because there's some top lane champions that are going to be impacted here. And then the mid lane, apart from the Orianna, you still have good choices. The Asir obviously is taken away, but Corki can still be played in the mid lane. You have things like the Picture still available, the Silas as well. So trying to lock down onto the mid lane going to be a little bit more difficult. The Talia, obviously good choice, but I feel like you just go Picture and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a pretty face-up option available here. Could also be, I mean, if that Akali ban meant anything, could see Akali.
True.
I don't know if this is the comp to go up against, and you're against Talia and Xayah. I don't know if those are the best targets to go on to as Akali, but definitely an option.
Just Big Puppy. I was thinking this. Just Big Puppy.
Now that the Poppy's here, all right, nix the Akali. No. It's 86 the Akali. We're gonna do something different. Komodo, let's see what you can show us here in the back end of their draft. I think this is more of a Victor angle than before, for sure.
Yeah.
It feels like it's likely going to be that one. And I mean, with an Ornn coming into the top lane for Alorum, an old classic of his, other than that Poppy that is a little bit of a takeaway from him. I think just going front to back here and having yourself a really solid DPS scaling mage would really beneficial for you here. So no criticism from me. I would definitely expect to see Victor here. I guess if you really want,
or go ASOL.
Yeah, what other mages are up and available? I mean, yeah, you could go like an ASOL or something goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you need to be a draft wizard to come up with Victor here. Feels like an easy choice.
It really feels like it just gives you everything that you need. It also makes late game situations like really uncomfortable for AMI because Sivir Victor just have so much perma wave clear and zone control that it's going to be difficult to try and push into the base of Komodo. That being said, it also means that if they do fall behind, like they're trying to make a jump between the early stages and the late stages is going to be difficult because they are really coded in trying to reach that late game before they can find a lot of angles. With the Ornn, with the Victor, with the Sivir, it's really difficult to make that be as worthwhile as possible. And now the counter pick for, is it a Trundle top or a Trundle jungle? Because I think it can go either way.
I think you can go either way too. I think it's a good pick regardless. I'm
Yeah, I
plenty
really
happy
like
with
it.
this Trundle if I'm AMI. What a great selection at the end here. Kind of slipped by me with the Pantheon banned away and the Xin Zhao and Wukong both off the table. You kind of forget the other big boy in the jungle these days, which is that Trundle. And he's going to be so effective up against Alorum's Ornn, regardless of whether he's coming into the top lane or the jungle.
Yeah.
I think I'd almost rather see to the jungle right now, though, because it's pretty good in that position, and it's going to be good into the Vi. It's going to be able to win out on those duels, and it's going to be just fine to have like a farm matchup between your Ornn and your Poppy up on the top side while Trundle runs amok across the rest of the map.
Yeah, pretty sure you can almost always win the 1v1 against the Vi just by virtue of the champion kit. And then one of the biggest things that the Trundle does give you is that the spell shield is pretty meaningless against the Pillar of Ice. Because yes, you can kind of ignore the knockup if you get like pushed away with the spell shield, but the slow still applies. The big pillar in the middle of your face still applies, and you're going to be bothered by the movement. So like it's a really good tool to make it difficult for Sivir to try and escape. Because apart from the spell shield and the ultimate, there's not a lot of tools for the Sivir to escape bar the flash. So it gives a lot of opportunity for your Poppy to set up on top of the Sivir, for your Talia to set up on top of the Sivir, for your Akan to set up on top of the Sivir, and it makes it really difficult for them to try and escape. Same story for Victor, and even harder for him because he has no spell shield or movement speed ability. He has to suffer the full brunt of the body from the Pillar of Ice, and he also cancels abilities from every member of Komodo. Like I think this pick here really could just make their lives of every member from Komodo really difficult, and it's also going to be difficult to kill him because he steals the resistances from the Ornn and turns them back into your face.
Yeah, and there's some
Really
cute
good.
pillar tech that you could use this game as well. You can throw down the pillar in response to a Poppy charge.
Yeah.
To guarantee the stun. That's a tech available to you if you're able to sync up well with your teammates. You can also block Searing Charge from Ornn with it, which is very funny. So if you find yourself in a position where an Ornn is about to charge, he's about to get the knock up off of his own pillar or up against a wall, you can throw down the pillar right in front of him and kind of just force him to slam his face into it rather than getting deeper in towards your team. That's some technology that is also available if you do decide to go for it. It does look like it is going to be that Poppy top for decoy and is going to be BB on the Trundle in the jungle, which is, I think, my preferred
It's good.
allocation of these picks.
Like it was either way going to be good because I do think that the Poppy still can play into the divide, but certainly in the jungle you get that extra body of being able to just 1v1 win it, and then also the Poppy can just play into the Ornn. Like there's no difficulty of going into that matchup as well as the Poppy. So all in all, in general for AMI, really good choice, really good team composition that they go for, and good hyper carry for Baz as well, which in the previous game performed already well. And he also has tools to escape by himself. So once again, playing with the idea that you don't need to cover for Baz to make the game work out for your team.
You do not. And going to be able to really find a lot of really powerful engage angles across the board on Apex, even into the powerful front line that Alorum and Pika Pika are going to represent here. Yeah, they're kind of the traditional front-to-back team fight comp, but there's still a lot of tools in those kind of scenarios that AMI can make good use of, right? Being able to block these engages from the likes of Colthrow and Pika Pika from the Poppy, going to be really, really powerful. Sapping the defensive stats with the Trundle, going to be able to kind of invert that kind of frontline interaction from the likes of Komodo. And still plenty of front-to-back damage here between Retrozing and Baz. I think slightly favors the Victor and the Sivir come into the later game, but AMI have drafted themselves a composition where they have plenty of different avenues to success.
Yeah, as long as they can reach that point, it should be really a good composition to try and play with. The problem is reaching that point, and that's the scary part for the side of Komodo, where I can see them being able to do it if Bai is able to facilitate that, but if Bai isn't able to, like, there's going to be a really big gap between reaching that late game and their performance before that. And I think for the Victor, for the Sivir, is going to be really scary to try and make that point going forward. But if not, like, they can really survive for a really long time because they have extremely good wave clear on their side, and trying to go into their base is also difficult because of the engage potential that Alarim and Pika Pika have with their champions. The engage from a really safe distance from the Ornn, and then the follow-up of super engage from the Rel can be really scary if you're not ready for it.
Yeah, it really can. So lots of opportunity to be able to find these engages from both sides, but definitely if you're looking at Komodo here, I mean, we've been really praising the Apex comp, the Apex draft throughout this. If you're looking at Komodo and you're trying to find yourself a path into this game, beyond just scaling to the hyper late game, what can you really go for here? You can potentially try to get Throw to find some successful ganks earlier on with some of those nice flash vault breaker plays. You could try to get an advantage maybe to Doxa or to Azog, but I mean, these are all like, it's scaling in all three lanes. It feels like there's not a lot of great opportunities for the Vi to try to set somebody ahead and try to kind of disrupt what is going to likely be AMI controlling the pace of the game.
Yeah, as long as they are able to go for it and control the pace of the game, it should be pretty comfortable for them to really make it work out as much as possible, and also to try and go for it in the best way that they can. Also, just try and win with a teamfight composition, because funnily enough, I do think that both teams this time around drafted a teamfight comp when you look at it. Like, they have tools to make it to make their teamfight composition be as effective as possible. I think maybe Komodo's is looking more like a teamfight comp because of the ultimate value that they all have compared to AMI's, but there's still tools to make it work out. So it could be kind of considered like a reverse of the previous game with a hyper carry on AMI.
Yeah. You got to remember this Komodo roster. I mean, for Doxa and Pika Pika in particular, they were playing on Conviction Star last ACL split. That team, sister team, the academy team, whatever you want to call it, of the Conviction team in the NACL. And they were very, very successful. They were the clear second best team in the ACL, I think. They were able to find success against pretty much every other squad they went against. They came into playoffs as the second seed. They qualified playoffs incredibly early in the sort of pseudo-Swiss format that we played last ACL. Doxa and Pika Pika had a fantastic run there, and they were second only to Citadel. A win here, in all likelihood, nets you a rematch with Citadel, another matchup up against last split's champions. You know that these guys want to take another crack at them. But AMI putting up a fantastic fight in game number one, pulling the game back into their favor. They might just stop Doxa and Pika Pika from being able to get that rematch very, very early on.
Yeah, they may not get a rematch, but they will probably get their match because they more than likely would like to go against them. Actually, now that I think about it, did AMI play against Citadel in the what was the name? Promotion tournament? Yes, I'm actually not remembering now.
Probably somewhere or other. I could look that up in the background, but
there's an angle to think about a rematch there as well.
Yeah,
technically
definitely.
Speaking.
If they're able to get it, yeah, I think you're likely right. And yeah, I mean, AMA did play against Citadel. They played a qualification match in the upper bracket. It was a 3-0 for Citadel. So
okay, see,
yeah,
it works out for us either way, because like that means that we have our own story already.
Citadel.
Yeah, exactly. We have the beef already, so it makes our story easier for us.
Definitely. So both these teams looking to get a little bit of revenge up against the Citadel squad that they will likely be facing. Again, I don't mean to write off Prosperity X8PM. They have a shot. They have a chance. They are playing their own series as we speak. I don't see a result for that one yet on the sheet, so still some game left to be played.
Yeah, there's still a lot to go for, and a lot of matches as well. It's not only this one in Citadel. It's like there's still a huge amount of matches to be played. A lot of teams left to be decided on who will qualify and who will not. And there's a lot of things to really be hopeful to see later.
Yep, definitely. Nobody solidifying a position in the GSL bracket off of today's games. does take certain possibilities off the board. A loss here means you can't get first. A win here means, well, the fact that you're here at all actually means that you can't get last. But
Yeah, true.
certainly still some plenty left to be determined, plenty of stakes left regardless of the result here based on your future matches. But always, as always, winning good, losing bad. And a path towards a very early playoff qualification for the winner is a big motivator.
Yeah, ideally you want to win here. You'd rather win here so that it's easier on you later on. But obviously it's not an obligation. It's not the thing that you want to pull up as we jump into the game immediately.
Yep, we are in here and already finding some trades in the bottom lane. These early trades last game, they favored Baz and Pocus pretty heavily. And we'll see if Azog and Pika Pika can turn things back into their favor now on a different matchup. It is once again a solid laning duo for Baz and Pocus. I'm actually surprised that the pushing power here of the Sivir has been enough to get the early level 2 for Azog and Pika Pika.
The value of the Ricochet more than likely, although I'm not sure if they started Ricochet, but Sivir does have that early value. Yeah, it started, so really good to try and push waves effectively, and they still get hit consistently. So as always, you can see how much the Sivir can try and push into the enemy side, and also a little bit of a set of expectation to be set up already into future fights, as well as top lane really likes to fight as much as possible.
Yep, changing some blows back and forth there. Decoy doing a good job of using the buckler, but here's an early invade from BB, and we've talked about what this one-on-one looks like. Colthrow is going to be forced to flash over the wall. BB just going to match it, and first blood solo to BB as he finds his opposition in the jungle.
Yeah, that's already a dimming situation for Colthrow. Flash down already in their face and about to steal the red buff. I'm not sure if Pika Pika can steal this. No, he cannot stop it. So it's going to be double red buff, first blood for the Trundle, and he can move wherever he wants. He doesn't have the flash either, so if he goes too far forward, he can be a little bit of a victim of whatever happens. But in general, such a good start for them.
And like AMI fans, the Church of Low Jazz may be on hiatus as he finds himself not on this team and not in the NACL, but his prophets doing a solid job here. Although AMI losing out in the bottom lane trade, it is going to be an early kill given on over to Pika Pika, but now going to be a return on towards Azog. They will make it into a 1-for-1.
Yeah, it's a bite to the face onto Azog, and even though Baz doesn't get the kill, they want to go for more here. Although the way that the wave is right now, BB.
I think BB can just get this.
Sure.
I mean, it's going to be a flash at least out of Pika Pika. Yeah, BB just going to get on in there. Definitely going to make something happen, and backing on away. Oh, wait, never mind. BB coming back out of the woods. Finds Pika Pika again after Evergarden got his flash pillage back to the team. It's another kill to BB. Swag, baby.
Oh, and Colthrow is getting collapsed in here. There's two members coming, actually, and it's a 2v2 because Doxa didn't move.
Stopping the mobility using Steadfast Presence, going to result in a pick. Give it over to RetroZing. AMI looking strong in this game number 2 and a 3-0 start for BB.
Yeah, they saw their previous game. They realized that they ended the game way too late, so they want to rush it now because already 4 kills, 3 to BB, and also 1 for RetroZing. The jungle mid lane already looking really spiked there, and you have to question a little bit of the decision coming in by Komodo going into the enemy jungle, particularly from Doxa, because there was no movement from Doxa to try and play around that invade. You had 3 members on top side, but it never mattered because you still have 2 members just collapsing on the play and being a 2v2. That was such a good cancel, by the way.
Yeah, just playing out these interactions really, really well. Well done from Decoy. And
Doxa
not on a champion with a lot of...
Oh, he gets stunned.
Oh, the knock from the pillar into the unraveled earth from RetroZing. Yeah, that triggers. That counts, baby.
If it works, it works. And another flash down. Doxa now going to be having to deal with both RetroZing and BB potentially going into his lane consistently. And it's been BB all around this early game, just moving around everywhere, collapsing onto everyone, and just finding the better plays all around. Yes, there may be try and come contest this dragon here, but all right, it's just so much better for AMI at this point. And nope, it looks like it's going to be an early dragon for them.
Yeah, going to start this one on off. I was also looking for a little bit of additional trash talk. Focus was on our seating committee, by the way. I wanted to see where he put Komodo. He did put Komodo pool too, so he's with consensus. That would have been a funny little bit of extra stakes to put on this game, but respect given over
that
from
he
Focus.
He didn't know that they were going to be playing against each other, because I'm pretty sure if that was the case, they probably don't put them above them.
Well, he didn't know that they were going to be playing against each other.
Yeah.
He also didn't know that he was going to be playing.
True.
He's not
true.
the starter.
That's also true.
Yeah, so you're incentivized to seed as you feel is appropriate, right? You don't want to seed good teams low, because then when your team succeeds, you end up having to play better teams.
Exactly. You don't want to be the one that gets humiliated by the other side. So it's better to be like in a good spot in between. Like you want to be strong, but not so much that when you lose, it looks bad.
It's just the incentives work out nicely. So we, of course, let Pocus fill out a ballot. He did. Shout out to him for participating in seeding committee. And
everyone is welcome to do it.
Upset those seeds pretty early here, at least if this early game is any indication. Is already up 1-0 in the series is AMI, and now with the 1K gold lead here pre-10 minutes, not too shabby. Already rotating their bot lane up towards the top so they can pressure these grubs. And BB 3-0 already on the Trundle. We've seen a lot of Trundles run away with a lot of games this season, and this looks like it might just be another one of them.
Yeah, it really feels like it's going to end up happening like that. And we've also seen games where the Vi, if she starts badly, she doesn't really recover that effectively. Her ultimate can be really good to lock down targets, but the problem is that if she's really squishy or if she's not finding the right way of playing the game, she can be exploded before she even finds any value. They are waiting here on the side, looking at BB just stealing away the grub, but it's just really difficult to stop this.
Yeah, it's definitely tough when you're facing down 4 members of AMI, and one of them is this very, very strong Trundle. They're gonna just donate the grubs. They're gonna give it up.
Yeah, that's it.
Not an opportunity to really contest for it. Retro Zing fighting for the push in mid. Alorum looking around, but he's kind of just confirming that they're there.
He still has ultimate, but obviously if you try and play around your ultimate and you don't find anything, the cooldown at this point is a little bit longer than you would like to, and you're going to be missing out quite a bit.
Definitely. Alorum spots Pocus on the recall. Does manage to interrupt that one. Now, coming in from behind, Pika Pika looking to see if he can make a little play on the decoy. Meanwhile, Alorum gonna get rooted up by the feather pull. Baz and Pocus, doesn't matter who their opponent is, they're looking for violence. Pika Pika did arrive in the bottom lane, but doesn't appear to have gotten the angle to get on the decoy. That's a tough gank to make happen anyway, because he's never going to pop Steadfast Presence one-on-one against Sivir, so he's always going to have it to interrupt Crashdown.
Yeah, that's the effective thing about some of these matchups. Like, it just works out really nicely for your team because of how they want to set it up. But obviously, later on, if you get collapsed, then you may die here. Retrosync needs to be careful because of the Rel being in position. Bai is also close by, and now that she's level 6, you can really easily kill the Talia in this spot, but you still need to be careful. Oh, wait. Yeah, just like this.
Here's Pika Pika finding Retro Zing, and Retro Zing just a little too disrespectful there. Steps up too far. And is punished, does not blow any summoners, knew that he was dead. And that will be Komodo getting a little bit of space back for themselves as they give a kill over to Kolthro.
Yeah, the further away they can play from BB, probably the better, because he's going to be the main menace at this point of the game. There's not much value from the Talia, not much value yet from Baz. He did complete an item, but it's not enough to really be meaningful.
No. Not at all. Not yet. Not this time. Decoy forced back. Or pushing in, rather. He has had a solid time in this one-on-one with Alorum. This is kind of just a meatball lane. Nobody able to swing things too much in either way. Bot lane has at least stabilized for the likes of Pika Pika and Azog. Doxa popping Chaos Storm here. Gonna just force Retrozing out of lane. Landed a fair number of lasers there, knows that Retrozing doesn't have the TP, so will be putting his team up into a nice position thanks to this one. Retrozing being so low does make this upcoming dragon a little bit challenging, although he's getting collapsed on. There's a play breaking out towards mid. Pocus going to look for the dive in, gonna have to back on away as the gravity field is thrown down. It's a 3-on-3. Kolthro gets shuffled back, doesn't get stunned though. He should be just fine. So they're going to keep this pressure on towards mid, and once again, it's RetroZing's health bar that is serving as a bit of a thorn in their side.
They did commit a little bit for that fight in the mid lane. Doxa does not have flash now, but there's no ultimate from Focus. RetroZing will need to back, and there's no ultimate.
You just
there's
called
no
out
flash.
Doxa doesn't have flash now, though. Pika Pika is here to back him up. No ultimate available from Pocus means that he's not going to want to throw himself in. That dragon is now spawned and ripe for the taking. Summoner's Born on both sides, health bar still low for RetroZing. Alorm going to pop the ultimate. He can't recast because Decoy's in his face with Steadfast Presence. That's such good heads-up play.
Yeah, really nicely done there. And then looking down here in the bot side now, because of the disengage that some of the members went for, even though Talia is not here, they are able to push for this dragon. It's more than likely going to be the second dragon of the game, going in favor of AMI. A lot of ultimates were down, and the weird part is that they were still enough to push away the members from the Komodo and not allow them to really go for anything, as Decoy may be dead here. Cold Throw is coming, has ulti. Oh, actually, not committing.
Yeah, kind of just speaks to the hole that Komodo find themselves in. They're indexed so far into scaling. They're just so weak in combat at this stage that it's like RetroZing's at no HP, pushed underneath his turret. Azog has parity in bottom lane as the waves are crashing into each other in the center. And they have to give up the dragon anyway. They just have to let BB take it.
They just know the disadvantages that they are currently at, and also with the items that some of the members have completed, right? Because for example, the Sai already completes boots. The Trundle already has one full item completed as well. You have the Poppy as well with one completed item. The only one missing really in that trifecta is Italia, and probably in the next pack, RetroZing will get to that point. But it's just such a strong point right now for AMI, and once again, Komodo needs time to be able to reach that point with some of their carries, but if they are able, will they be able to get to that point? It's kind of difficult to really say, and how much time will they take before they get to that point? Especially now that it's an Inferno Dragon as well. That could be just game losing if they lose the Infernal Soul.
Definitely. Oh, going to be a while before we get there, but maybe feels like not nearly enough time if you're Komodo. Trying to get stacked up on this Rod of Ages build for Doxa, trying to get more items onto this scaling Sivir, trying to get Ornn upgrades. That opportunity just might not be there if this dragon continues to be raced towards as quickly as it is. And yeah, like you said, that's Flash Ghost out of Azog from BB just showing up and throwing down a pillar. So nothing you expect for AMI, and very, very bountiful rewards.
Yeah, works out really nicely there in that position. And now also with the plates down, changing positions for both members, both Baz and Talia are going to move between each other's lanes. Not much going to be accomplished after that. And they are probably going to wait until the dragon spawns. It's 2 minutes, 250 for the dragon. Oh, wait. Nice stun.
Potentially going to break out here. Pillar wasn't there to interrupt the crash down, so Pika Pika able to use that to get himself out to safety.
Pretty comfortable for them to be able to stop them trying to do anything that spot, but the jungle is completely in possession of AMI. Like, they know they have complete control of it, and there's barely anything that they can do to respond to it.
A little scouting mission here from the likes of AMI, just trying to get deeper into the enemy jungle. BB already stolen away this red buff before this game. Wants to return to the scene of the crime and see if he can make a little bit more theft work out for him. Pika Pika here to cover Cold Throw. A control ward. Well, it's not a control ward, actually. That's just the ward, the extra health from the rune. They'll be spotting out, but they're not going to be able to stop him.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we might have lost you. Oh, you're back. Welcome back.
Okay, that was weird, but what is not weird is them just completely gaining control over the top side as well and getting this Rip Herald. Ultimately used by RetroZing as well to escape. The buy was close by, so really smart decision there. Nothing lost for AMI after that as well.
Yeah, I mean, the minions just aren't quite here. Doxa's going to be able to get the wave crashed in, but AMI well ahead of the pace of the game. Yet again, they get themselves their Herald. They're going to be able to throw that down in probably mid lane to be able to get themselves an advantageous siege on towards dragon number 3. And once again, Komodo find themselves on a timer that might just be a little bit too fast. They're 5 minutes away from even fully stacking up this Roa, so it'll be there in time for dragon number 4.
The next dragon. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, you know, it's not going to be here for this dragon, and still going to be a 1-item Sivir. It's just too early for this scaling composition of Komodo, especially when they find themselves already a little bit behind.
Oh,
BB, though, spotted on the top side. Big punch from Coldthrow. BB's got nowhere to go. He did pop the ultimate in time. Goes in for the chop. Can't finish off Coldthrow. And Doxa gets a massive shutdown.
That was such a long chain of CC for BB. Like, they stunned him for way too long in that position, barely able to utilize his ultimate, and he soaked all the damage. Really good pick coming in by Komodo in that position. They desperately needed something like that, and that also means that maybe they have a little bit of an opening now to try and go for the dragon. It also is going to be difficult just because they do have a lot more control on the side of AMI down there, but it's still the best angle they've had before this to really get control or an opportunity to fight that dragon.
And what a terrible position to get caught in for BB, right? It's this one part of the map where your team cannot support you. RetroZing cannot really do much over the wall. They didn't get a good space to be able to flash out. They got chain CC'd by the gravity well. And now Komodo with the first move on towards this dragon. Yes, BB has respawned, but he's got no flash, no ultimate. Komodo might actually be able to challenge for this dragon, and they might show a comeback right back up against AMI. They've got the opportunity now.
Yeah, the perfect angle there. Although RetroZing now is looking to potentially take down this turret, try and get more gold in their favor, but it should be an angle for this dragon. Also, Alarim has such a good angle to try and fight. There is the Puppy ultimate though.
Yeah, and Alarm is able to successfully get himself away from Decoy, so he's going to be able to actually cast Cole, the Forge God. Double knockup onto both of the carries. Shuffle back out of Doxa, though. Gets a lot of damage there. Well placed by RetroZing. Still, Komodo stay grouped up. They fall back as one. And
AMI's just stronger.
To re-engage here. AMI get right back on top of the dragon. Laser comes on across, gets a good bit of damage there from Doxa. Dragon falling down to about half HP. Coldthrow and Alorum trying to front line, trying to create space for the rest of the team. Here comes the crash down. Going to get interrupted by Decoy. Shuffle back. Pika already down. Slam into the wall onto Alorum. They're going to take this fight front to back, and they're going to win it. Doxa is able to find Baz, though. Stun connects onto BB. There's the punch from Coldthrow. He gets shuffled back by RetroZing. RetroZing is now out of mana. Doxa continuing to rain through the lasers. Doxa and Azog. There's the bouncing boomerangs. They finish up the fight for Komodo. And the scaling carries find their fight, bide their time, and claim the dragon for the blue side.
It was such a long fight, and that's where Doxa and Azog were able to shine really effectively. Baz wasn't able to do much more damage because he was kind of caught in a really weird place, trying to make it work out as much as possible. The engage there by Puck was also failing, but it looked like it was going to work out much better. The main point that you were calling out, Gordo, there, RetroZing not having more mana here. They kill Baz really easily with the ultimate, not really noticing that that was going to happen, and the flash not coming through there. And then when Baz is down, when RetroZing is out of mana, they cannot follow up enough to be able to kill BB with all that the value that he had because of the previous fight, and the lack of ultimate means that he cannot force a fight there as
Ooh, Baz and Pika exchanges some blows over there, but yeah, I just can't say enough good things about Doxa in that team fight. He finds the blow up onto Baz with his ultimate, has it so well placed to continue damaging the rest of the team, never with a laser misplaced even by a centimeter. So much maximal damage output by this Victor, and now he is fully online. He got so many sparks off of those kills. He got so many items and gold off of those kills. He's about to have the fully stacked Roa. Doxa's massive.
Yeah, he really is strong at this point, and trying to stop the Victor, obviously, it's not going to be easy, but you still have a lot of value thanks to the ultimate coming in from, or the Pillar of Ice coming in from BB. But the main point that I wanted also to take from that last bit of the fight is how valuable BB's ultimate is for trying to kill someone like Alarim, that if in the whole continuation of that fight, there's an ultimate for BB, that's probably a much easier fight for AMI, because they are able to burst down someone much quicker. But because it wasn't present, they weren't able to at the end.
Azog and Baz actually exchanging some blows here. Azog with a level advantage and an item advantage now feels much more comfortable to be able to take those trades, even up against Vizaya, who's probably a better duelist in most situations. Also want to call out in that last fight, Alorum and Decoy, they've been neck and neck the whole game long. Not in gold necessarily, although that's also been true, but in literal positioning. Decoy has constantly been on top of Alorum, stopping him from being able to do much of anything. Alorum is able to desync from Decoy there, fall back towards the rest of the team, and actually cast Call the Forge God, and it does a lot of help for them.
yeah, giving yourself enough space there in that position is so important. And obviously, not only because of the steadfast presence, but also just the hammer being able to push you away. Like, there's multiple tools for Decoy to really mess up that fight. And being able to push yourself away from that and set up your team is really, really good by Alorem. I also think that Decoy's ultimate wasn't really the best in that fight, because I don't think we ever saw anyone pushed away effectively so that you could really set up for your team either. I was expecting that for the Dragon, didn't come out. I was expecting that for the other team fight opportunities, and they didn't come out either.
Yeah. Oh, got a little bit of a freeze here. Uh-oh. Hoping that this is not the spectate client breaking and is instead just a little bit of a pause or something. But we will see whether these technical issues can be resolved quickly or not.
Hopefully you can, because you cannot lose this game with the point that it currently is at.
Yeah, it is a freeze, so we will do our best to get back in. Thank you, Paparito. We'll probably go back to cams here for too long. Otacon likely going to be the next objective on the table here before too long. We will see what we can do to get back into the game as quickly as possible.
Yeah, hopefully soon enough, because it's still a game that AMI can play for. I think the late game obviously is looking much more beneficial for the side of Komodo. But in general, there's still tools that you can try and play with as AMI, and particularly having a Saya. Saya is such a strong hyper carry in the late game. 6-item Saya is such a menace, and you also have ways just to stop a lot of the fighting happening with Talia, with the Poppy. The Trundle as well, stealing all the stats from someone like the Ornn is always going to be valuable. So there's tools for them to make it out, but Komodo really needed that fight to come back into this game as effectively.
Yeah, shout out to All Calamity coming in with the raid. Thank you for joining us. It is game number 2, a 1-0 lead to Apex. Komodo fighting their way back in this game number 2, now probably find themselves in an advantaged state. But we do have that little bit of a freeze on the spectate client, so we will bring that back up as quickly as possible. Hopefully not going to miss too much gameplay at that time. But the scaling composition of Komodo has been paying off for them now. And a lot of the time in the current meta, you don't love to see comps that are all in on this scaling because of the power that is afforded to securing these objectives. So maybe a little bit of a fight breaking out here. Pocus forced to disengage. Looks like Baz had to ulti at some point too. But nothing has fallen, so we have not missed much TDS. I will call that a victory.
Yeah, as long as we're able to come back and nobody really died or lost anything meaningful, that's a victory in my opinion as well. And they're trying to come here and contest for the Atacant. Everyone is in position much better on the side of Komodo. Dragon is also spawning in 10 seconds. Surprised that there's... Oh,
ooh,
Baz
nice
has to flash.
Decoy. Yeah, Baz forced to flash away, and Komodo, smelling blood in the water, want to see if they can turn this into a favorable fight. A lot of tools blown. Like you said, all of the defensive tools from Baz are gone. Colthrow especially wants to ulti that Xayah so damn bad, but will not be able to do so, at least not yet. They did get steadfast presence off a Decoy not long ago, but it's going to be coming back up before too long. The Dragon is up and available on the table. AMI could get themselves on a soul point with it, but the inside track would be available for Komodo. Decoy going in for the engage, but here comes the gravity field right away, and there's the Chaos Storm on top of it. It's a flashback away from Doxa, pumping out too much damage. Full throw way deep into the back line. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, him for BB.
Oh, engage
look at that Gravity Storm coming out of Pika Pika. He finds the no escape Baz and takes him out. Meanwhile, Doxa taking on 2 opponents at once and able to do so thanks to the Boomerang Blades. It will be a disengage forced by AMI. It will be the Dragon going over to Komodo.
Yeah, surprised that the ultimate from Decoy just pushes away the Rel, and it means that they can't try and force an engage, but because they cannot burst anyone out, because they cannot kill anyone out, it's just a completely meaningless use of the ultimate at that point. And then the re-engage from Colthrow, even though he ends up dying, it's still enough to be able to find BB as well. BB for his early game start, now not as impactful or as massive in the Trundle as the Bai that just presses point and click ultimate and just able to find multiple members. The ultimate by Elrim as well, really massive to find Baz, and like we were mentioning, with no defensive tools, with no flash, no ultimate, really easy to kill this Xayah. And it's becoming a game where Komodo is just simply finding the better team fights because either AMI commits too heavily and misplays, or because they are just finding the better angles to force it in their favor.
And you can see the stimulus package that Azog and Doxa got for themselves in the prior team fight pays off big in this one. Doxa able to flash back over the wall, pumping out so much damage with the lasers and the Chaos Storm, and Azog able to really represent in these fights. He's got the Ornn upgrade on his Essence Reaver. He's got multiple items in his back pocket. He is able to duke it out now in a way that he wasn't when he was much weaker earlier in the game, and the scaling comp for Komodo is online.
That ward is going to be so bad for them if they aren't able to run away, and it looks like they want to try and force an engage here at BDO. Decoy?
Lorem, he finds Decoy. Decoy pops the Steadfast Presence a little bit too early. He's going to get CC'd and focused down. Focus not going to be able to find the engage off the grand entrance. It will be focused down by the entirety of Komodo. Chaos Storm will execute him, and it's a 4v5 on the map. The Lizards moving up towards the top side to claim some of these epic monsters.
Nobody died, surprisingly, there on the side of Komodo, but they are able to find Pocus as well really effectively. There's still teleport for Decoy if he wants to try and go for something else. They also are quite healthy, so even though they want to start here the act again, there's still tools for them to try and contest it.
Absolutely. Now, will not actually be able to start anything up, just the loss of Pocus, not enough for them to feel comfortable starting things with AMI. They did blow several important ultimates off of their carries. They are down flashes on some of them as well. Not wanting to take the risk, knowing that the game is just getting more and more favorable for them as time goes on. They don't want to take unnecessary risks.
Yeah, they don't want to force weirdly in any situation. They don't want to try and force way too heavily here on the side end. Just means that now they need to try and move a little bit more careful with what they want trying to go for. But Doxa just looks like such a menacing champion at this point, being able to just move into the place where there's no vision and try and collapse as much or collect as much as he wants. Retrosync is able to push the bot lane as wave as well. He has teleport, so he can try and contest here, but that could be a really good amount of gold that they can try and go get. The only problem is that he doesn't have a lot of mana, so if they want to fight here, he's not going to come back here with mana in his favor.
Now, 5 members starting up onto this Otacon AMI without Retrosing. He's taking the recall. He started a TP in, but he might be too late. Otacon's starting to fall lower and lower. Magnus connects out of
engage. Wade
out of the back line. Doxa still
as he's out attacking so much.
We freeze again. It's a double kill to Baz to start things off at AMI. They might have the angle to turn this one back around, but that is a Chaos Storm that is about to take out BB. It's about to go bigger. It's about to refresh again. Decoy is CC'd. Pocus is out of tools, and Baz, while stepping up, finds himself a little bit close to all the members of Komodo.
No way we get a pausing there. That was actually just realizing what was happening, right? There was a Weaver's wall right on top of both ASOC and Doxa. So that was going to put them all in a small space for Baz to auto attack and Talia also to get the kill. Like that could really be a team fight victory. Maybe a 4 for 5, or actually 1 for 5 on the side of AMI, just because of the position. But I hate this client sometimes. I really hate it.
Oh, I hate it most times. I don't think I never find I never have a day where I get up and I get on my computer and I'm like, you know what, this client, this is just what I need right now. Never happens. Never happened once. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not thrilled here, but we will.
I can't believe that.
We'll get back into this game as soon as we can. I don't think it's gonna end here one way or the other. Because I'm gonna be real with you, I don't think we're gonna get the back half of that fight. We're gonna have to make some assumptions about what happened. What was the kill score before we froze? I want to at least be accurate. I think it was it 8-6, something like that.
I think it could have been 8-6, or actually it could be like 9-7. Could be actually.
Don't worry.
Before that.
I got you. It was 11-7. And the fight started. It was 11-9 after the Baz double kill. So we'll be able to check the kill score when we load back in.
So if everyone dies, it's 12-11.
Yes. All right. 12-12.
Okay, so one member died.
So Komodo
one member died, everyone else died. And they got Baron.
Komodo got a kill back, and AMI got the ace.
And they got Baron in the process as well. They are pushing here with Baron buffs, so they got all of that. Oh,
call the
engage
we're getting right back into the action. There's Decoy on the back line getting focused out by Colthrow, Doxa, and Azog. It's a big Chaos Storm stepping forward on towards BB. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Decoy down for the likes of Pika Pika. 13-13 on the scoreboard in this close game number 2. AMI back in the gold lead thanks to that fight win that we had that cut away from. Not safe to be shown on Twitch, so we've got to come back in a little bit later. And Komodo still scaling in the game, but the gold lead given over to AMI. They're going to look for the re-engage on the BB. He's got nowhere left to go. They're going to be able to melt him down, and Doxa gets his 8th kill of the game.
Yeah, they get so much value out of that fight. Not sure what the decision was there, or what Decoy was doing on the side, but he gets cut down. Not only with his without using his ultimate, but Flash also was not using that play. So all in all, really not as an effective fight as it could have been for the side of Komodo. They do get the inhibitor turret, not the inhibitor, but there's still so much room to play. Only bad thing for AMI is that Komodo has 3 Infernal Dragons, so they can 100% just get Infernal Soul next fight, and that, with Doxa's picture at this point in the game, could be extremely scary.
Absolutely here. Oh, got to be keeping your eyes on what Doxa will be able to accomplish. He's 4 items deep on this Victor, surely fully upgraded at this point. The glorious evolution is upon us, and he is so set up for success here. Orin items doled out across the board, by the way. Upgrade on the Sunfire Aegis, upgrade on the Black Cleaver, on the Leandri's Torment, on the Essence Reaver. None of these have special Orin upgrade names anymore, so I don't need to memorize them, but they are stats nonetheless, and Komodo is well equipped for these fights. They've got a hidden gold lead that probably puts them at least at parity, if not ahead, compared to what you're seeing on the AMI scoreboard.
Yeah, ideally it's going to work out if they can, but obviously doesn't feel like that. Oh, wait.
Focus in a little bit early. Baz forced to use the Feather Storm. That is a major tool down, while you still have Cease and Desist on the side of Colthrow. That could be a major factor in this next fight if it breaks out during the cooldown.
Yeah, good thing is that Dragon and Baron are down during that timing, so it's not like they need to force it, right? But that is a really big usage of 2 ultimates that are crucial for AMI's team fight, and they didn't get anything at all, not even the red buff, so not really sure what the idea behind it was. Also, Sivir is 1 step closer to that actually, no, Sivir, wait, quick maths. No, she's 1 item behind the Saya. I was thinking that she was ahead of the Saya, but no, she's behind the Saya. So Saya will deal more damage than the Sivir at this point.
Yes, that is very likely here. But the bouncing boomerangs can be so valuable, and the power of the front line kind of online here now. You're 3 items deep on Olorum. He's got the health, he's got the magic resist, he's got the armor, he's got the 3 pillars of tank gameplay, and the bonus stats from the Ornn that the passive does afford. So he will be very difficult to move regardless of what you're playing, even as 4 item Baz.
BB's happy though. Like, that's a lot of resistances that you get out of that. So it can be quite nice if you're able to ult to him.
Decoy coming on across. There will be the inner turret falling on down. Olorum will be able to step up on towards the wave now. Retrozing clearing out mid-wave. 5 members of AMI on towards the bottom side of the map, thinking about this dragon, knowing they need to deny this soul. It's a minute to go.
Will they try and play for the trade? Because Baron is coming back up before the dragon. Ooh. Closer. Every movement that they make that is not in the right position can be extremely scary. As Doxa, wait.
Pillar coming on across, but Doxa will not be caught. He doesn't even have to blow the flash. 4 versus 4 in the mid lane. Frontliner's not exactly available. Keep your eyes on what these 2 are going to be able to do on the other side. Olorum looking to make sure that Decoy doesn't have an opportunity to TP. Decoy going to be able to do the same thing back to Olorum. Another pillar out of Doxa, but he's got the necessary backup. He's able to keep himself safe the whole way long.
Wait, I'm really surprised that they didn't focus Doxa there. At the very least, take down the flash, because he was by himself on the side. Like, every other member was on the other side of that wall. Surprised that their focus was on the Rel and not onto Doxa. They want to start the dragon,
the
though.
Damage return from Azog, you gotta believe. The dragon is spawning up here soon. The tanks have migrated their way out over. BB thinks he's got Alorum isolated. He does pop the substitute. Here comes the rest of Komodo, trying to focus BB onto the opposite side. They throw it out. BB has to flash back over the wall, but now Decoy left out to dry. Doxa does throw down the Chaos Storm, not going to be able to get any kills off of it, but will be able to return big damage on a Retro Zing. Focus ends up falling down. That refreshes the ulti from Doxa. Doxa stepping up now, head to head, up against both carries at the same time, and Retro Zing forced into the stasis, will fall down to the gravity well on the opposite side. Doxa steps up and makes the play, but Baz is able to return fire with the feathers. Gets the pull back on in. BB gonna be pushed away. Dragon Soul secured. It goes to Doxa, but now here comes Decoy on the backside looking for the flank. They're going to just go right on forward, get onto BB. Pika flashes forward, gets the stun on the Baz, and here's Azog to finish him off. It's a double kill to the Sivir. Apex Mission Impossible wiped off the map, and Komodo, Dragon Soul in tow, en route to the Baron.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty free Baron bot there, and once again they are forcing fights thinking that they can pull it up, but it's fine if you ulti the Ornn, but there's no damage to follow up on that play. They just want to make it happen without really having anything in their favor to make it happen, and in that position I respect the attempt, but it clearly doesn't pay off at the end, and here is just going to be Pocus trying to stop some backs, but they're not going to find anything at all. Pretty comfortable win for Komodo. Dragon Soul in their favor, Baron buff in their favor, and a really big question mark on now what the hell does AMI do, because they are really in a tough spot at this point in the game. They may have the items, but they don't have a lot of the control that they had way before, and they also don't have the wave clear that Komodo has.
Do not. Komodo now looking truly well prepared for a potential game number 3. The curse could be broken here, TDS. It's been a split in a day, and we have not had a regular season go to game 3 on the Aegis mainstream. Komodo could show up with a second comeback game in a row to break that streak.
Yeah, surprisingly in the most amazing manner, but if they pull it off, that's still going to be great for everyone involved, because 3 games is always great to see, and I think both teams really have shown up so far with how competitive the series has been.
Absolutely here. And the 2 carries for Komodo clutching up where it matters most, securing themselves position back in that earlier dragon fight, and now keeping calm and collected the whole way through. One more properly executed team fight could take us to game number 3. Could win it for Komodo. Baz takes a massive chunk from a laser out of Doxa, and that very well could open up plenty of space for this next turret. Another laser, another chunk, and AMI's whole bot lane have to get the hell out of there. Doxa's just too strong.
Yeah, Cold Throw blows flash, but it matters absolutely nothing because just 2 hits from both Doxa and Azog, and it just means that they are completely once again in favor to try and force the fight. I like the idea that AMI was trying to look there with a pullback and trying to control, but it's just really difficult in this situation. And disengage, pretty comfortable. They're going to back away and maybe try and become a little bit stronger for that Elder Dragon that is spawning in 3 minutes. That could be the game-defining team fight though, but with how strong it feels like they are right now, I don't think that there's going to be much opportunity for AMI to really fight it or win it.
Here, Soul. It's a 4 Infernal Soul, by the way. This is that strat. I don't think anybody remembers this, but when Dragon Souls first became a mechanic, I think it was LS talked a lot about giving 2 dragons so that you could stack 4 of the same kind of stat, because that's better. It's never really a strategy that's taken off because you don't want to give over 2 dragons for free. The Soul. I
think the biggest problem with that is always the RNG though, because it works if it's for Mountain, if it's for Infernal, but when it's something like a 4 Cloud or 4 Hexic, like it's not really worth it.
Yeah, that too. There's a lot of reasons to not actually do it, but Komodo have done it here, and it is paying off dividends. RetroSync coming in, big wall, pinchers both of the carries, but they don't have the follow-up. The front line is fighting on the opposite side. Doxa shows up to back them up, throws down a massive Chaos Storm. Down goes Pocus, down goes BB. It's a double kill to Doxa, and a 5 versus 3 as Komodo look to siege out of the base.
That was actually such a good Weaver's Wall as well, because they find both members in an angle that they cannot escape, but neither have flash either. So they just didn't walk forward. They weren't able to do it at all. And that means that we're going to game 3 for the first time in so long.
It's been a while. We had it happen in playoffs, especially the best of fives, of course, but not in the regular season. Good stun from Decoy onto Doxa, but again, can't piece together the combo. RetroZing not able to connect the seismic shove. Baz desperately trying to clear out waves, and Komodo just waiting for more of these siege minions to show up. They have all 3 inhibitors down. They have the numbers until BB respawns in 5 seconds. But it doesn't look like they'll be able to finish in time, so AMI going to be back at full fighting strength. Coldrow's at half HP, and Komodo might choose to back on off here. The game might not be over quite yet,
Elder's in 1 minute. Yeah, Elder is in 1 minute, so maybe they are trying to play around that. And this timing pot feels like they should have enough to be able to win it.
Ooh, the pressure is on here. Feel for Komodo. They want to end the game. They don't want to take any more risks. Decoy just getting down. Chaos Storm gonna get reset. There's a second one to fall. Massive Magnet Storm from Pika. Pika will let the AoE damage rain on through. It's a double kill to the likes of Azog. And Komodo have completed the comeback. It is 1-1. We are going to game number 3 for a spot in the finals of this GSL group.
Yeah, they're going to go to the final game. It's going to be the final match to decide everything, and you have to give huge props to how Komodo played it, because they were in a point where they needed really something big to come back into the game, and they were able to find it. Huge props to how they played that. And I think you really have to question that one play from BB, because he was really ahead at one point in the game.
Yeah.
And that one pick that that killed BB inside of the jungle, where he blew both I think it was ultimate and flash blown at the time. That just completely destroyed the momentum that AMI had. Because for the next fight, that's when Komodo was able to completely come back. So really important blunder there that really meant a huge part of the game.
Yeah, and Komodo go for a draft that we had some doubts about. Puts everything in the hands of their 2 carries to try to scale into the late game to be able to win. And hey, it works on out for them in a back and forth game, where the lead was given back over to AMI while we were disconnected. Komodo comes back a second time and come up with the win, and it's all on the back of Doxa and Azog. An excellent game from those 2, showing why the team has enough faith in them to be able to draft these sorts of compositions.
Yeah, no doubt that Komodo were able to play it at the end there really effectively, and also able to come back really effectively there. I feel like some of the things that they did here could have been perfectly done in that first game to a certain degree, and just turn around what was a really bad situation in that first game. But also virtue of their champions, right? Because the longer the game goes, Picture, Saber, Orin are just going to become that much better. And AMI just simply didn't press the issue enough or well enough that they could make their lead be as valuable. So that means that we're going to a game 3 for the first time in quite a while. And a lot of the champions are going to be banned away. So we're going to have to see some really good adaptations as well.
Absolutely. I mean, look, the largest lizard in the animal kingdom is the Komodo dragon, and the largest Komodo is Doxa, as we have seen in this second game. So looking back towards what these carries are going to be able to do for the team coming into game number 3. And it is, of course, full fearless game of 3, so we're going to start to see a little bit more off-the-wall picks. It's going to be a party, so do not go anywhere. We're going to throw it to a quick break here, but first things first, once again, thank you to Zen Market. Zen Market is your one-stop shop for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy items from over 10,000 shops in Japan, as well as place bids on auctions on your behalf. They'll even consolidate all your items safely into one box and can ship internationally. They provide excellent customer service in 19 languages, which is why Zen Market is trusted by over 2 million users worldwide. Check out the panel below the stream or click the link in the chat to try them out now. If you sign up with promo code Aegis, you will get 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. In addition, check out the special viewer giveaway by typing !giveaway in the chat for your chance to win a Nintendo 64. Thank you again for Zen Market for supporting Aegis and the ACL. We're going to throw it to a quick break here, but we will see you all for draft number 3 in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the ACL, where we have got ourselves a regular season Game 3 on the actual Aegis channel. They said it couldn't be done, TDS, but we've made it. It's been the entirety of 2025 without being able to actually show up and have a game number 3 of the regular season. So thank you very much to both Komodo and AMI for making this possible. And it is a heater here so far. Been big back and forth games, comebacks in both. The team that was winning early is not the team that won at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We're going to see if that pattern stays true as we get into game number 3, 20 champions fearless away.
Yeah, and speaking of patterns, so far the pattern has been to ban the same champions pretty much on the first 5 bans, and then AMI just bans the last one depending on what they feel like. Because in the first game they left open the buy and it was picked, first pick. In the first game they left open the Varus and it was picked, first pick. So what would they want to leave open this time around that is going to be the immediate Komodo first pick? Also, another thing that we haven't seen yet is the Yunara, right? Yesterday first picked in the first game of the series, and today barely noticed at all. Like, hasn't been hovered, hasn't been even like just noticed at all. So surprised to see if there's going to be any change with that as well.
Yeah, again, I'm not sold on the Yunara. So I think this is the correct state where it just doesn't get picked at all. I think that's barring any changes. I haven't looked at the new patch notes yet. Maybe this is going to change tomorrow. But as of right now, I don't see a whole lot of Yunara hype on my end of the things. Let's see what the priority is going to be for these two squads, though. Is going to be an increasingly pinched pool for Baz in particular, as Komodo has been prioritizing bans over in his direction throughout the night. Very well may continue to be the case here. I think that Zig's very worthy of a ban, and of course the Lucian has been perma taken off the table for him as well.
That's in general fair enough. Overall, the similar champions that could be banned away, I think, would end up getting banned away at that point. I'm not expecting there to be a huge change. I'm more interested in seeing if AMI gives that strategy of banning the same first 2 and then just taking away that last one, which have been done consistently in the previous games, and this time around trying to add onto that like what their focus will be, because I think that having Baz play a safer AD carry or an AD carry that can peel by himself worked out to a certain degree with Ezreal and the Saya. Obviously it was picked up a couple of times, but it was still able to do quite a bit in most of the game. Now the problem comes from what the remaining options for that sort of playstyle is, because with no Varus, with no Saya, no Ezreal, you kind of have to go even deeper to try and find an AD carry like that. And the other one that has the dashes to try and really escape and play around that is the Lucian, right? With the dash from the E, being able to have a little bit more mobility. It really is mainly thinking of that. And then after that, it's more the typical AD carries that will try and hyper carry or play from a safe distance. Like in some situations, the Jinx, the Caitlyn, maybe the Seri could be the option that they go for with a hyper carry that has mobility.
Very possible here. And by the way, we do have some news here. So the Noxus group, this is the last match going on. It was a 2-0 win for Citadel over Prosperity. So what this means is that the winner of this match will go on to play against Citadel for one of the first spots in the ACL
surprises
playoffs, is what that match will be for. We talked about this earlier. A rematch against Citadel, something both of these squads are looking for. A team that 3-0'd Apex Mission Impossible in their NACL promotion relegation series, and a team that defeated the likes of Doxa and Pika Pika in the ACL finals just last split. So both of these squads going to be looking for another crack at Citadel to see if they can get a little bit of revenge there. The loser will go and play against Ember Foxes in the lower bracket to try to fight their way and see if they can get that second seed out of the group. But we race through the bans. It's the Scion stuck to Komodo. First picks the Orianna for the likes of Doxa, and it is a quick response of Jarvan and Ryze from the likes of AMI.
Is this just a Nocturne angle for Komodo? Oh, it's not an Ori Nocturne potentially there. I think the Jarvan Ryze makes a lot of sense. Really comfortable engage potential, plus also the point and click CC. looks like they're hovering a little bit to try and play around with the ADS. I also want to quickly point out the ban from AMI, the last ban, the Sion. I really like it because one of the biggest things in the previous games was the engage from Alarim in the top lane being really effective. Like, he barely suffered at all in the top lane, and then he had really clutch engages and really huge value as a tank. So taking away another of those champions from him is a really good idea, as the Skarner is locked down. So it's not going to be the Orianna Nocturne combo. Instead, it's going to be the much more effective tank value from the Skarner, plus that huge ultimate that can set up for the shockwave anyway. It's just that it's not going to be flying in, and that's another Allurim special.
It is an Allurim special, and it is locked in. Allurim Urgot in game number 3. They're going to rely on Colthrow to do the tanking and engaging this time around, and Allurim going to get to rock the Urgot. Locked blind here.
Yeah.
Says that, hey, I don't think that Decoy has anything to pick up against this. Let's see if that holds true or not. If Decoy doesn't pick right here, they'll also get 2 more bans towards him. So a little pressure going to be on, and yeah, Decoy says, no more bans. I'm going to take the Cassante here. That's my best bet up against this Urgot.
Yeah, blind K'Sante, or blind no, but a K'Sante here to just try and play it equally. I'm not 100% sure how this matchup usually should go, but I would think that having the extra damage from the Urgot is going to affect the way that the K'Sante wants to play. But if you're able to get on top of the Urgot, it's pretty comfortable for the K'Sante to really lock him down and try and get the kill. So I think that it's a really skill-dependent matchup in that sense. Now, for the bot side though, there's going to be a couple of bans that are 100% going to come through. That means Fortune and the Jhin as well is something that I'm looking for the side of AMI to try and ban away against Komodo. Maybe something like the Kalista as well, though Kalista hasn't had the most exciting of months recently. Like, she's been in a really weird spot in general, both in pro play and in solo queues, so I kind of don't think that the Kalista would be that high priority, but the Jhin kind of feels like would make sense. Caitlyn, Ashe also. There's also the Smolder if you want to hyper carry as well, if you want to play with it.
I do feel like Baz is setting up to potentially hyper carry here. He's taking away lane dominant ADs from the likes of Azog, and it is going to be defensive supports banned away from Komodo. Let's see what the priority is going to be here. I mean, what are we left with in engaged support territory as well? Like the
Alistar?
Yeah, Alistar, Leona, both available. So there's more than one. That probably means there's not a lot of reason to turbo prioritize one over the other. I wouldn't be surprised to see an AD carry snapped on up here, but then again,
Jinx angle.
Generically good support, you can kind of try to opt into whatever lane you want. It will be the Jinx snapped up for Baz.
Yeah, if you're looking for a hyper carry that is left and can be really effective, that Jinx just feels so good. But it also opens herself up for things like this Blitzcrank. I also think that if the Blitzcrank gets picked here, I'm kind of guessing the Temkinj would be the choice, or the Thresh, just for the Lantern value, which trying to save this Jinx is going to be one of the most important parts of the composition from AMI, because she's going to be essentially the main damage dealer for late stage fights, and also the one that will be trying to get to that point effectively. And as AD carries, I think an Ashe wouldn't be a bad choice, although damage wise you probably would like something else. But the lockdown from the Ashe plus the, or actually Corki, I forgot about his existence, but yeah, this is a really good carry at this point.
Oh, might it be the Yunara that you mentioned earlier, TDS? I would like the Corki here.
I think Corki. Yeah.
I really like the Blitzcrank against 2 immobile carries, and yeah, it will be going on over to Komodo. And meanwhile, there's that Alistar that we mentioned earlier on. I think that's a great pick into the Blitzcrank. I mean, you kind of want to get hooked on this one, and now there's a lot of on AMI who want to be the victim of a Pika Pika hook.
So you want to get hooked as the Blitzcrank and as the K'Sante, but in a world where you pick the Jinx off, like, she's dead. There's no way, absolutely no way to save this Jinx. She has to fend for herself. So it's a pretty equal way of playing like they did before, because they played with Baz playing an AD carry that had ways to escape by himself so they could focus on other things. This time around, they are going to focus on other things, but Baz has barely any way to escape by himself. So he gets picked off, he's dead.
Yeah, and I mean, we've had major pop-off games from both of these AD carries throughout the night, and that's determined who's won, right? It was a big Baz Ezreal game in game at number 1, and then that big Sivir game out of Azog in game at number 2. So watching how this bot lane is going to play out, going to be pretty critical to the result of this game at number 3. And Pika Pika Blitzcrank could really throw a wrench into everything if it's on point and able to make big differences. I have seen some good Blitzcrank games out of Pika Pika in the past. He is kind of that flavor of support who's willing to go for some of these off-the-wall picks sometimes. Didn't work out in the Bard in game number 1, but now goes for the Blitzcrank to take a second shot at it in game number 3.
It's also one of the reasons with Pika Pika being more willing to go for things like that, that I don't like the fact that they went for last pick support and went for the Alistair here. Because I feel like if you want to go for that, you can just go last pick. You can just go pick for the Alistair before and leave Baz for a counter pick 80 carry. Because then he gets put into this situation and it's a little bit uncomfortable as well to try and go for it. You could have gone for the Corki yourself if Baz had the last pick as well. So it's kind of a weird situation in that sense. But taking advantage of Pika Pika's idea of wanting to go for more off the wall or off meta champions like the Blitzcrank, it's really effective for Komodo. And it's something that also brings up the reason why we're excited with Pika Pika, because he's also willing to go for these champions as well so frequently.
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. And he's able to execute on them. He shows up and is able to have some really good performances here. Alorum on the Urgot, it's an old classic. It happened so early in the draft that we've kind of let it fall by the wayside, but very curious to see how he's going to be able to do in this matchup up against the Cassante, if he's going to be able to build up a solid lead for himself, and if he's going to be able to be a big bruisery force in these kinds of team fights, able to create space up against the likes of the Jinx and the Rise. That can be a big difference maker that can really buy space to work for Doxa and Azog. These two both going into champions that are going to be trying to scale up, but also have the potential to be favorable in lane here. The Orianna going to have that range advantage over the Rise, and the Corki going to have that burst damage up against this Jinx, which, especially in the early game, can be a big difference maker.
Yeah, and it's also a situation where, once again, if you pick off the Jinx really early on, the damage from the Corki early on is quite nice. So you can take her down really, really low, and then just make her feel really bad about trying to play the lane in general. Just a lot of situations that can turn really badly for AMI if they misplay the lane quite effectively. Now, the opposite side of that is that they do have great lockdown with their champions. Like, they have a huge amount of CC. Good point and click CC, good team fight CC, and also they have a good beefy front line, because Alistair with ultimate, Decoy as a Cassante, and if Vivi wants to go a little bit of tank, they can actually survive for quite a bit. And then the late game for AMI should be way stronger, just because having that Jinx and the Rise, it really just bumps you up a lot.
That was Baz. Big opportunity here to have another statement game. That Ezreal game, I think, definitely falling into that category, and he's able to put up another one here. Certainly going to be a player to keep your eyes on throughout the rest of this ACL. There's so much focus on towards the direct NACL teams that I think people have let the former NACL teams fall by the wayside a little bit. The recently relegated folks, this AMI team, still with Decoy and Baz, and even with Pocus subbing in today, makes it 3 out of 5.
Health into the wound, Gordo.
Hey, listen, I'm saying this as a compliment, all right? They were in NACL incredibly recently. They could be a big threat, especially towards these kind of like upper echelon of tier 3 teams like Komodo, right? Because the likes of Doxa and Pika Pika, well, not Doxa actually, only Pika Pika was on the Cupid Esports team that played in the promo tournament, but all these players have been in OQs and have been competing in OQs for a while and haven't quite been able to make that jump up, at least in a long time, in Doxa's case and Lorem's case.
Yeah, I was going to mention one level was even in the NCS.
I'm guessing it's PC or something.
True. That's also been a while, but yeah. My point being, right? These former NACL teams, these incredibly recently former NACL teams, they have shown that they could challenge NACL teams in certain circumstances during their respective seasons, but also they're big threats towards these kind of upper echelon tier 3 teams. I think Apex Mission Impossible's in that category, and I think Cupid Esports, running the entire former Polestar roster, is in that category.
Yeah, and also another thing to consider, especially thinking about the potential OQs coming up later on and other things about the teams as well, is that I feel like this is one of the points where we've had a lot of parity going into an OQ, because I don't think that we have a straight up just completely out of the ordinary team in the OQ like realm, where I think because of that parity, there's also a really good parity in the NACL as well. And that means that qualifying for NACL this next time is going to be much more difficult. So there needs to be a huge step up for some of these LQ teams. And it's going to be exciting seeing how that comes through as well with what they are going to be able to pull through, both in ACL and in the OQs.
Yes. So definitely a team to keep an eye on here is this AMI team, and if they're going to be able to continue to challenge and make a deep playoff run here, because again, you know, we're going to consider the NACL teams to sort of be the top of the table, but there's only 3.75 of them. Again, Papa's Chunks, largely Winthrop University, but not quite.
Close enough, but not the same. They are not under their banner, but they have players.
They have Papa instead of Sword, which is not an insignificant difference, but the other four are the likes of Winthrop University. So I guess 3.8 would be the exact math there if you want to get technical about it. Whether or not Sword represents exactly 20% of Winthrop University, that's a debate for somebody else to have. We're not going to do that one right now. But
wait, wouldn't it be like 3.6 because it's Chrome and not mobility?
Oh, it is Chrome and not mobility. You're completely right.
So it's 0.6 actually.
0.6. Again, assuming that you consider mobility and Sword each to be exactly 20% of Winthrop University.
And someone's going to come here and say, no, you have to count Artemis. So it's going to be like 3.30 something or something like that. Or 15 or something like that.
4 out of 6 is 2 out of 3 is 0.66. So yeah, that's quick maths for you. You're never supposed to do math on broadcast.
Yeah, we're not supposed to do maths here.
We have a little downtime, and you know what? I did that math right, so I'm going to take that. I've done a lot of math over these last couple of minutes. I'm not going to push my luck any further. We are waiting on Spec Delay, by the way. Should be about a minute or so to go. Players took a little bit longer to get the in-client draft completed, but we are loading on up. We are hopefully not going to encounter any more Riot Spectate issues this time around. Usually those are linked to the game more so than they are to the night. So hopefully we won't have
ideally not, yeah,
like that this time around.
I really think now that we're technically a tier 2 tournament, we should get a ride into tier 2 realm, into tournament realm.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be real on board for putting 24 to 32 teams.
I'm not saying they are on board with it. I just think we should get it. Like it would be completely on the right track to do that. Will we ever get it? Probably not.
There's anything I've learned in my time in this space, it's that Riot loves nothing more than putting 200 new players into the tournament realm.
They could make it so they could just make their own like mini tournament realm and make it so that the tournament realm is for like the big teams, the big boys of the scene, and then us in the smaller bracket go to the mini tournament realm and we play there.
You're cooking here, man. Let's get you to the Riot headquarters. Let's see what we can make happen. Well, welcome everybody to Summoner's Rift game number 3, our last game of the night for all the marbles, for a rematch against Citadel for the likes of Doxa and Pika Pika and everybody on AMI. Would mean a whole bunch to whichever team is able to get it, and that match is for instant qualification to ACL playoffs. So you're not going to want to miss it, as either of these squads trying to stay out of the lower bracket as long as possible, if not dodge it entirely. And doing that takes defeating the team in front of you. See how they're able to perform so far. Early ward cleared on out by the likes of BB. To start things off, he's going to start on his red, while Kothro right across from him on the blue.
Yeah, already starting on similar sides for both junglers as well, so probably going to be a little bit of a focus down there on the bot side. Important as well, I was going to say no hooks connected, and Baz immediately gets connected there.
Well, it's the Alistair. He likes to get hooked, especially in...
No, but it was Baz.
So no problem for him there. Focus, able to run some interference, able to help out his buddy, get him out of there. Meanwhile, Doxa get a tick level 2 first in the mid lane, and the range advantage of this Orianna, I think, is a great matchup for him. Retrozing, prioritizing the Rise, feels comfortable on it, likes the opportunities it affords to the team, but Doxa will be pushing him in for quite a while.
Yeah, we'll also need to see if RetroSync is one of the rise, or if his rise can be as impactful in the rest of the map. Because one of the things you always want to see with a good rise is not only pushing the waves and being able to contest in the lane, but ready to get on the roam, go to the side as soon as possible, and then finding really huge value. And look at that double knock up from the Alistar already, showing what can happen later on if you pull the Alistar there.
Yeah, I mean, double pulverize triggers the aftershock, takes basically no damage, and makes this Blitzcrank feel a little goofy for even daring to go for the pull. That's a solid pick here on R5 for the likes of Pocus. Ooh. It's going to be a flash forced out of Baz, though. Trading flashes is Pika Pika as he threatens to connect another hook, and that would have been a kill, as Kolthro is in the area, having taken 4 camps into the gank bottom.
Ghost was used as well.
Keeping the pressure up. Yeah, we'll force the Ghost out of Baz as well. Pocus used heal, too, so that's 3 summoners down.
Yeah, for just a flash out of Pika Pika. That means that next play that they want to try and force, more than likely it's going to work out much better for the side of Komodo. That being said, junglers both on bot side, but BB is slightly ahead in terms of the farm, just because he's able to play a little bit more in favor of the camps, and also getting the blue buff, so he's going to be a tad bit stronger than Kolthro gets the Scholar Crab.
That was a BB actually got it.
Yep.
He seems to be with the smite. So going to be going on over to the Jarvan, giving him even a little bit more of a CS advantage, as Kolthro did forego his red buff and Krugs to be able to show up for that bot lane play. So let's see if Azog and Pika Pika are going to be able to make good on the advantage afforded to them. But they got the push coming on up, and BB is hanging out in the river. You're going to have to pay that some respect.
Yeah, they need to be ready for that. They know that there's a chance that the Jarvan is still there and that they can get collapsed on. Decoy with a really nice trade there, but Alarium has a little bit more mana, more health, so it should be much better for them to try and play around that. And both junglers also waiting on bot side, really trying to play as much as possible for it.
Yeah, a weird little game of chicken going on this top side where, oh, actually a hook landed onto Pocus. He does trigger the aftershock. He does punch back away Azog, but will have to flash. There's going to be the rock. There's the flash in from Kolthro, and first blood to Komodo in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and it's just enough there to get the kill. Waiting paid much better for Komodo in that position, and first blood going to the Skarner. Oh. Okay, respect the attempt. Probably wasn't going to pull the Jinx at all at that point, but respect the attempt in that position, and it's just going to be a pretty comfortable reset for them. Good thing for Baz is that he hasn't died, but that first blood going into the Skarner can make him a little bit more bothersome to try and deal with later on.
Definitely. Now we have a little bit of downtime. I want to call out, there's a little game of chicken in this top lane matchup, because Pathmaker and Disdain both kind of holding on to each other to make sure they don't interrupt the other. So Decoy did a good job of using the Pathmaker in that last exchange that we saw, and actually built himself up a solid little CS lead in this early game, as both top laners going to recall and TP back.
Both of them just doing the normal situation, that position. Alarium going to be waiting a little bit longer. Oh, hook fails.
Pika Pika fishes up pretty far for that hook, and he's going to be dutifully punished.
Perfect.
BB claims the kill, and Pika Pika going a little crazy with the attempted Hextech flash there. Will go down.
Yeah, if the hook fails there, you still are in a position to try and respond pretty comfortably in that situation. And they have the lockdown. We talked a little bit about this in draft as well. Point and click lockdown, and the CC that they have on the side of AMI is really good. Like, if they get one bit of the CC down, there's really good follow-up from multiple members. And at this point, BB is not tanky enough, so it's really easy to try and burn down the Blitzcrank in that position. Really good punish they are able to get there.
Definitely a good little bit back into the pockets for AMI. The gold does go over to BB. Won't help them out in the scaling department too much, but will at least relieve some of that pressure. Will give them a bit more room to play in the mid lane for the likes of RetroZing. That pressure constantly keeping him pushed underneath his turret has given about a wave of a CS lead over to the likes of Doxa. He's going to be able to clean that up as he does arrive back over towards mid. Meanwhile, no massive leads built out anywhere. The only real noticeable one is going to be the one that Decoy has over Alorum here, where he's been navigating this laning phase as the Cassante quite well. Seems like that counter pick working out pretty well for him.
Yeah, has been doing a really good job at making the Cassante feel much stronger and maximizing the value, even with some traits maybe not working out for the best. still doing a really good job at punishing Alarim in this situation. And once again, one bad misstep by the Alarim in this spot, he can really get just 100-0 from the Decoy's combo.
And there's the other side of that chicken game I was talking about earlier, right? Both Pathmaker and Disdain grant you that CC immunity. So whoever dashes second kind of gets to immune the other person's dash, and they're the one who actually gets to potentially CC the other. So an interesting series of cat and mouse games going to be played between Decoy and Alorum over the course of this laning phase on that front. Is Decoy keeping the wave pushed up, maintaining his CS advantage, and Alarm's going to lose more CS underneath this turret. It's not the easiest farm under tower champion. Doxo will be caught on out by BB here, does manage to avoid the flag and drag. BB not going to commit the Cataclysm, means that Doxo's just going to walk right out.
Yeah, he doesn't have to use Slash either, so for the Cataclysm, it's going to be an important cooldown to still keep up. They are still waiting on the side with the Alistar as well coming up there, so maybe they can try and play for punishing Dox a little bit more in that situation, but it doesn't look like they are going to overcommit. Like, they're going to play around it, yes, but not going to be a heavy overcommit for a play here.
Hook on to Pocus, going to keep him in place.
It's not a Senki.
A little bit of additional CC onto him. He gets hooked back on in by the Shockwave, and Doxa will be able to take him down, but now he's locked out. Cataclysm, going to be some return fire from RetroZig to be able to get that gold right back. Coldthrow chasing forward, forces the flash out of BB with his Impale, and at the end of the day, it's a 1-for-1 support for mid laner.
Yeah, if you're AMI, I think you take that trade at the end of the day. That being said, this is the point of one of those points of the game where Pocus and Pika are not going to be a Senki, especially Pocus without his ultimate. He really is not going to have that same survivability, so it means that they are not going to find the best opportunity to make it work out as effectively as possible to survive for a long time. Also, early rotation here to go for the Grubs.
They're going to try to challenge for this. A lot of cooldowns for Komodo, but BB is still a little bit low, that he's pretty out of tools as well. He's going to have to flag and drag over. They got one Grubby, and now Pika is standing here, keeping the aggro on them. I think they're calling over Coldthrow to see if they can grab two. This might actually be the bulk of the objective going to Komodo.
Yeah, it really feels like they are going to be able to collect it there. Also, just quickly to point out in terms of objectives, probably the latest dragon we've seen so far in the series. Nobody has gone there, nobody has tried to take it, and it's going to be first Void Grubs, or first two Void Grubs going to the side of Komodo, one for AMI. Pretty equal game in general. Only the gold lead is in favor of the side of AMI, mainly because of that top lane.
Focus finds Azog, but Azog able to get himself the space that he needs to be able to back on away. Will not end up going down. Both bot lanes now at full strength, get their supports back alongside them. They continue their farming battle. As you said, that first dragon still up for the taking, has not gone over to either side. The only objective of the game so far going to be in Komodo's pockets in the form of those grubs. Let's see if they're going to be able to make good on those. Claim some of that turret plating. Gold lead pretty much represented entirely in fact that Decoy has that CS lead.
Yeah, nobody really wants that dragon at all at this point in the game, and Decoy having that huge lead, making such a big difference, already having his first item as well. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of going just a straight up
mistimed by Alorum. He still gets stunned by the Pathmaker.
That's
He's not able to immune it with the Disdain, and Decoy looking to make that a solo kill. Feat of warfare to Decoy and AMI.
A perfect solo kill timing. Just like you talked about with the timing on the invulnerability there, really nicely done there by Decoy. Also having the flash advantage, something that Alarin didn't have, and with that force, they're able to not only get that first those Fates of War, the kill. Also, they are now able to force onto the dragon. Oh, 3-man.
Oh, nice damage coming out across
Dox is dead.
Locked down inside the Cataclysm. They're going to be able to finish him off nice and early. And they will be able to get away. AMI with the numbers advantage starting off on towards this dragon.
Yeah, really good play there. Also, Doxa has no teleport, so if they want to force a fight here, it's going to be a 4v5 or a 4v3. They're not going to have the numbers advantage to try and make it happen here. Hookus is still alive though.
Ooh, double knock comes on through. Pocus going to be able to get that one started. They're going to be able to get the double knock on the flag and drag as well. BB going to get impaled, but the damage is all coming through from Baz. It's a flash in from Azog to be able to get the execute onto the support, but he's going to lose his own life for it. It's given right into the pocket of RetroZing. 2 kills for 1 over to AMI, and they're going to finish that dragon that they started.
Yeah, 2 kills in their favor. Only unlucky thing for AMI is really the fact that Baz did not get any kill, because that was such a good play. Great engages by Pocus both times. First, getting the 3-man pull that immediately meant that Doxa was going to die, and then the 2-man pull that means that they were able to kill the Blitzcrank. Really good play, really nice ability to gain that huge amount of gold in that play, and also gaining the dragon, so not staying as far behind in terms of the objectives. And still another thing that AMI can try and play around with, plus this K'Sante that is really strong in the top side.
Absolutely. There will be now about a 2k gold lead over to Apex. Decoy trying to channel his recall, will get found, and Coldthrow are going to slam him into the wall. This should be a kill. Given into the pockets of Azog. Shut down gold onto that Corki right where you want it. Azog now finds himself with a gold advantage compared to Baz.
Yeah, compared to Baz not getting anything, you get the shot down for Azog in that position. That's unlucky. But they get the red buff.
And for BB, Smite does.
Oh wait, no.
Over to BB, he gets it.
Okay, so I think Coldthrow didn't have, or did he actually just miss Smite?
He might have, or he smited while it was.
Yeah, I'm thinking he probably smited something before.
I don't know. I would need the replay to be able to tell. Maybe we have it, maybe we don't. But Baz keeping the push going in the bottom lane up against Alorum. Does seem like the full lane swap has come on across here. It will be Rift Herald available in about a minute. They're going to crash this wave as Decoy shows on up, and it looks like they're going to try swapping back. Yeah, Alorum channeling the recall now, but I mean, AMI could send 2 top and have the members for Rift Herald.
Yeah, surprised with the change that they were trying to go pull off in that position meant that they're not only not going to be able to find the initial potential attempt at Alorum, but even with the fact that now they are going back to initial lanes, like the Jinx was left untouched, so she gets so much value at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now going to be Decoy continuing to keep the push on going. Members of the bottom lane for the likes of Komodo. BB jumps out of the woods, going to be able to find his way onto Pika Pika. Does still have access to the Cataclysm. I don't even think they're going to need it, though. Pocus shows up for the CC, and BB on a rampage. Baz, Super Mega Death Rocket whiffs. BB says, I want that kill for me.
I don't think it's a whiff if your teammate just steals it from your hands, but it would technically be a steal from BB's hands, because he did all the job.
Yeah, that's true. BB
deserves the kill.
4th kill of the game. We will see if they eventually get bitten for that. But here he comes over the wall, gonna find another Cataclysm, flashes away from the Shockwave, and it's another kill to AMI. They are focusing everything towards Doxa in this game number 3, and they succeed once again.
Well, after Doxa's performance in the previous game with the picture, I think focusing Doxa is probably a really good call. And trying to not make him be a valuable member is probably the best thing you can try and go for. And 0-3 is a perfect way to do that. That being said, they are playing the Orianna, so one good ultimate can really turn around everything. Go, BB.
Finds BB and says, I want that shutdown. Fear Beyond Death connects. And Alorum will make the pick. Baz, meanwhile, they attempted to dive him on the bottom side, but Alistair is tricky. Will be able to punt out Coldthrow in time.
Yeah, here really comfortable though, Retrosync able to run away, but after him getting a kill back, actually important to try and get more value into, or being able to try and fight Decoy, because he was already in a top spot, but with the kill at the very least, you're able to recover some of that damage that was done before onto you, and then try and turn it around really effectively as well.
AMI pulling ahead early, but that has not meant anything this series, TDS. We've had the losing team at some point have a 2k gold lead in both games so far tonight. So I am not going to start giving the award to AMI quite yet. Have to see what Komodo are going to be able to do coming into this mid-game. Turret plating has fallen, and all in all, the rewards have gone over to AMI. Having Retrosync 3 kills up, definitely good, but notably none of that money going into Baz, meaning that the advantage in the marksman department is still going to be for Azog.
Yeah, that's probably going to be
the buffer. That's how you do it, Alorum. Comes up with a massive trade thanks to that one, and it is a 2 versus 2 on the top side.
Yeah, at least nobody dies, so even though that's a really good scoop there, Decoy did blow the flash, so a little bit of an advantage there. Now there's also Pika Pika coming in here. They have a good angle to try and force a hook or a flash down thanks to the position that Pika Pika does have. And the Herald is not looking like something they can try and fight for at this point.
Ooh, Retrozing trying for a ballsy recall there. Will end up having it interrupted and does end up having to back away. Into that Rift Herald is being worked on here. Does look like Colthro should be able to secure it with the rest of the team, and
it's going to be traded.
He's going to decide to trade it for the Dragon. He's going to go start off Infernal.
Yeah, the problem is that because of how late the Dragons were, this trade for the Dragon is really not that bad for Komodo, because it's just 2 Dragons at this point in the game. It's not going to mean that much, and like we saw in the previous game, if they're able to turn it around, they can try and find a much better advantage, gaining 4 of the same Dragons, although it's probably going to be Cloud or something.
Yeah, so now going to be a back on away. There's going
so it's
to be
actually Hexer
trying to get this engaged on a Retrozing. Knockup connects from Pika Pika, and Retrozing will be finished off. That's shutdown gold into the pockets of Doxa.
Yeah, Doxa recovering a little bit there with the kill. He's now 1-3, even though he started really badly, and it's going to be another turret as well. So all in all for Komodo, even though they lose the Dragon, even though they are not the ones that were ahead in terms of kills. Oh, ASOC has to flash there, but Komodo is completely fine with that. Like, yes, you traded turrets, but you get 2 turrets plus a Rise for just the price of 1. Well, maybe 2 now.
Definitely. And does mean that summoner being down is going to be a potential target on the back of Azog as these upcoming fights do take place. But AMI, having just cleared out the Dragon, there's not actually going to be much on the table for a while. Otacon spawning at about 1:15. That'll be on the bottom side of the map. Komodo could try to start something off there. How strong their Corki currently is, but gold lead still slightly in AMI's hands.
Yeah, they still are ahead by a little bit, but it's not to the same amount that it was before. And maybe we're getting closer to a repetition of what happened in the previous 2 games, where the team that was ahead earlier is now the one that ends up being ahead at the end of the game, and it's not going to be the most ideal thing for AMI. That being said, the Jinx is getting closer to that second item. Power Spike probably would have hoped that she would have been at this point by now if she got one of those skills. But for Baz, is completely fine if he's able to reach that point eventually as Alarim. Has no flash.
Finding BB, but the numbers are in favor of AMI. Here comes the Realm Warp off of the Rise. Alorum now in a 1 versus 3. Can he melt down BB in time? 1 or 2 more shots would do it, but the space has been created, and Retrozing.
Oh, it's not enough range.
While Decoy getting engaged on the opposite side, trying to dive forward to make the trade happen on a Pika Pika, but it's already too many members from the side of Komodo, and they'll be able to give that gold right into Doxa.
Yeah, lucky for Decoy there. He was trying to play with the wall so that he could get the huge range of a Pika Pika and that way try and run away. It's not enough, and then he tries to go for the counter kill just like Alarim did, but neither of them are able to get it, and it's just going to be a 1-for-1 at the end of it. I think it's probably more worth it because actually I'm not sure who got that kill onto Decoy. I think it was Doxa, right?
Retrozing got one, and Doxa got the other.
So in that case, it's more valuable for Doxa because he's closer to his death cap now. That's a huge swing in power for the Orianna because now that shockwave is going to be really scary.
Absolutely here. We'll have to see if that massive shockwave is going to be able to connect like you called out. There is the Rabadon's death cap completed for Doxa thanks to that additional kill gold. 2 minutes to go until the next dragon. You probably are not going to want to give over a free soul point to the likes of Apex if you are Komodo. And the tools to be able to take these fights should be in place. 2 items on Urgot, 2 items on Corki, 2 items on Orianna. And you will have the Mura mana likely stacked up by then as well for Azog.
It's going to be a really strong potential fight here for the side of Komodo, and there's going to be good value for AMI as well, but they really are hoping that Jinx can get that second item really soon. That Ai is going to be a difference maker if she can really get it going, and Retrozing is so far ahead, by the way. Level 14 to level 12 of Doxa.
And that's going to be a 3-level advantage once he finishes stacking up that Rod of Ages. Yeah, definitely been soaking up those side lane waves to himself is Retrozing, and getting paid off for it as those extra points in his base abilities, and once he's level 16, going to get that extra flux damage as well. Control over this pit with a minute to go does belong to AMI. They're keeping the push going, and they've already gotten that mid turret, so they can afford to push up even further.
Yeah, they want to try and make something happen more effectively here with a push, but It's not looking like they are going to find that. Instead, it's just going to be waiting for the dragon to spawn in 50 seconds. And we'll see who gets the victory out of that. But the position already in favor of AMI. They have the control, they have the value in the area, and they are looking poised to be able to, at the very least, run whatever happens there. Although there's 2 members backing, actually. So they're going to give up the control.
Yeah, I think they must have money they want to spend or something, but AMI just kind of seed this whole bottom river 30 seconds before dragon number 3 spawns. And now
And DK wasn't even able to back.
What what did we just see? What just happened?
So they wanted to back, but they couldn't back. So now they are
item threshold for Baz. He just spent everything he had.
So so Baz, I understand backing, but I'm not sure why Pocus or Decoy wanted to back, and Decoy didn't even back. He wasn't even able to get to base, so they just lost the control of the river cost.
Yeah, that's rough here. Now Decoy in the front line just getting harassed by the likes of Azog here. Pocus going to flash on in there looking for the knockups. It's going to be
He's not bad.
able to successfully get the disengage. Coldthrow throws on down some extra damage. It's BB finding his way on towards Doxa. Doxa
already dead, though.
inside the Cataclysm. Doesn't have the flash. Decoy finishes him off. And Apex, despite seeding the river, they show back up. They take the fight and they pick the enemy mid laner.
No fear at all in that position. They see the engage angle and they commit really heavily. Focus was not scared a lot of anyone there, and just like that, they were able to not only kill Doxa, blow a couple of flashes from multiple members from Komodo, and then also they get the dragon. So now soul point obtained for them. They can even move forward for Atakan if they really want to. Oh, Azog.
We're gonna keep this fight going. Over the wall comes Retrozing. Thinks he's got this pick out of Azog. Azog going to flash over into the enemy. Trying to escape and says, Olorum, can you finish the job for me? Yes, he can. Olorum finishes off the kill out of the enemy mid laner, but Coldthrow caught on the opposite side. Baz
Finally
getting his first of the game.
Yeah, it took him quite a while, but he finally gets the first kill. They take down the jungler, and that does mean that this should be a free Atakan. Retrosing does have teleport as well.
Yeah, Doxa
going to be teleport.
He doesn't have the shockwave back up yet, but he can harass with the ball. It's a flash in from Decoy. Does not connect the stun, though. And now Doxa are going to be able to rain down the damage. Focus is also low. Everybody on the Apex side is low, so they're going to be forced to disengage. And they've leashed the Otacon for Komodo. Are you kidding me? Komodo maybe finding a space to make a comeback happen yet again as they secure this epic buff for free.
Yeah, that is quite a bit of XP as well for Doxa. They are able to recover at the very least 1 level onto Retrosync that was really far ahead. And yeah, the game's still staying as close as possible. Doxa does have to build the teleport and has no flash now for future fights. But Alorim is becoming a really strong champion in the sense that he's really getting left and checked, but he can deal a lot of damage in some of these teamfight situations. And as long as Bass is left in touch in the fight as well for AMI, he can really do serious damage because now he got his first kill. Has the IE plus a secondary item as well, and as soon as he gets 3 items, 4 items, the game becomes much more difficult to really deal with the Jinx.
And the Urgot also an underrated team fighter here. If you're able to get the Fear Beyond Death trigger, the fear is massive. Pika potentially getting caught here though. Here's Super Mega Death Rocket. Baz gets his second as quickly as he got his first.
Oh, Doxa has a flash.
The opposite side, Retrozing is sending in 4 members. Doxa gets the 4-man shockwave, but he is all alone and melted down. AMI get 2 picks for the price of 1, and they're right onto the Baron.
And you really have to credit BB for this place because he sees the angle, commits to the engage, and he's absolutely not scared at all to try and force it. Now with 2 members down, Pika and Doxa with no teleport either, that means that this should be a pretty free Baron, and they can try and make finally a lot more damage onto the map, maybe try and even break the base open if they can. There's Flash and Focus.
Great Baron take here. Alorum not getting slowed up by that zap. They will be able to walk their way out, but those 2 picks for AMI were huge. They get so much gold off that Baron. They get the buff for the next few minutes. And they are 1 dragon away from Soul, mind you. They could get themselves the Chemtech Soul with 1 more fight win, with 1 more solid push, with 1 more solid setup. And they are well on their way to doing so. And like you said, great calls from BB to be able to get these fights started. He has been on point with the Cataclysms, with the Flag and Drags, constantly locking down Doxa, constantly punishing the absence of Flash, and he just has not been able to find space in the game.
Yeah, even though he's playing the Oriana and has the ultimate value that is so big, every time he kind of wants to position himself for that, he just gets picked up, or BB just finds a really good angle to exploit the Oriana. And I think that goes to show a really good awareness by BB, that as long as he's on top of the Oriana, Doxa can barely do anything at all. And it also means that the team fight can be so much easier for the Jinx if the Oriana can barely get on top of them. Decoy?
Oh, look at that knockup though, connecting in.
He should be fine though.
Boy, he is going to be able to fight his way back out. He
Yeah.
gets so much damage on a Pika Pika with the help of RetroZing that it's just the robot falling.
Wait, Dox is pushing top.
Again, and AMI again get themselves a numbers advantage on the map, although Doxa still pushing top side, trying his best to trade cross map, but this is a 3 versus 4 push on the opposite side up against Baron buff. It's so difficult to just stop AMI from taking everything.
Yeah, they have to be wary or ready to try and go for that as well. Cold throw. Oh, he may be killed here.
Yeah, I mean, Baz is here, and that's all the damage you need. Baz melts him down, no problem. Make that 4 versus 2, although Doxa has retreated and Pika Pika has respawned. So AMI, they're going to have to settle for the 2 inners in trade for the 1 that Doxa was able to get topside.
Maybe they can go for something more here, because they are running into the river where RetroZing is also coming here, so they can try and go.
Lauren able to successfully disengage. Fear Beyond Death does connect on the Pocus,
so
and that will be the kill. Doesn't matter how tanky you are with Unbreakable Will.
Yeah, the idea was not necessarily bad, but because of the way that they were trying to reposition, it ends up biting them much more than they were able to get. And this also means that it's going to be a 4v5 until Pocus comes back, but that's 30 seconds. 30 seconds without your support there. Oh.
It's a 4 versus 4 though. Colthrow just respawned. BB full sends it, and he'll be finished off. It's only Pika Pika who drops. Azog able to keep himself safe. AMI though, they send Decoy into the back line. He gets his way out of Azog. He'll be able to get the execute. Now locked down is Doxa, finished off by RetroZing. It's only Alorum left standing, trying to rain through the damage, but he will fall as well. Both carries of AMI still standing, starting off the dragon, but Colthrow is waiting in the wings.
Are you sure you want to go for this?
Steal. He needs to time this perfectly because he will die. He's going so early and has to take the path back on out. Can he get in here with the flash? Can he steal the dragon? He cannot. Apex pick themselves up. Chemtech Soul.
Yeah, Baz was really low there, so if he committed to try and maybe go for a kill in that position, there could have been an angle potentially for a call through to try and not only seal it, but try and get a kill there. But it's now a soul for AMI, a lot of value for AMI. Jinx out of nowhere is now 4-5, so she's about to complete a fourth item after this, and that's going to be a really scary prospect for the side of Komodo. And even though they find such a good pick onto Pocus, it really doesn't turn into much more, because killing BB and Decoy, after Decoy kills Azog, it's kind of meaningless at that point. RetroZing Ambassador is still alive and doing so much at that point.
Absolutely. It was another big fight from Alorum. You can see the value that this Urgot is starting to have in these fights, both in being able to make that pick onto the Alistar and in how much he was able to output in the team fight, even after both carries got blown up. But I don't know if it's going to be enough now that they're facing down the Soul. Baron not going to be up for a couple of more minutes, so there's no objectives really to play for, but AMI still rocking a solid gold lead, and they have shown that they can use it to great effect in these team fights.
And now they're going to try and move here to get on top of Valorant, but yeah, a little bit difficult to really try and hold him down. It's going to be an attempt at pushing the top side, trying to break down the last tier 2 turret. But the difference from Komodo has been quite good at stopping a lot of the potential damage and a lot of the potential fear that you can try and put onto the base. But one good fight, one good kill, one turret taking down for this Jinx could turn into something much more now that she can get ramped up really effectively. Oh, hook.
Point blank hook connects on a Pocus.
Has a flash.
Not really care. And yeah, like you said, that is going to be a summoner spell down. Full throw. Looking around on the side, not going to find a great impale target. I feel like we haven't seen anybody get impaled all game long. Colthrow just dies too quickly.
I don't remember the last impale, realistically.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably in one of those earlier team fights. Oh, Decoy did just channel Pathmaker. He doesn't have CC immunity. He does have his friends to be able to get him out of there, though. Pika Pika looking for a potential angle onto RetroZing. Will not find it. And it's still Decoy waiting around on the flank. He's just so beefy on this Cassante. They don't feel like they can pull the trigger onto him.
Yeah, they can try and blow him up, but it's really difficult at this point in the game. Corki does have a good amount of damage, though, so maybe they can try and play off of that. But at this point, it's just who can really control the fight accordingly and who can really make the most amount of damage. Oh, nice attempt, not good enough.
Taking a bold shot does not connect.
It's respectable.
It will not cost them too much either. That Hex Flash cooldown very, very low. They will have it back up here before too long. And this is, of course, a Baron dance. AMI with control over the river. And they're going to have to use Orianna Ball to try to secure themselves some vision, secure themselves some space. There's going to be the knockout connecting on a cold throw. They can melt through this Skarner pretty quickly. Get some CC, but it's only out of the front line. There's
the pullback.
Knockout coming out across. They're going to pull the cold throw further and further away.
Dead.
He gets finished off. Big Pale comes on through, but he will fall regardless. 4-man Realm Warp in towards the rest.
The shockwave.
They're all going to get shockwaved by Doxa, but the damage not quite there.
Alan can get a reset.
Finish off one, but Azog's already been pushed away. 4 members of AMI still stand strong, and they're going to look to just march on the base.
Yeah, and they have teleport on both Decoy and RetroSync if they want to try and come back here with much healthier chance. But no, they are just going to look forward. They are going to try and win the game, and they are going to try and move forward to face Citadel in the next stage.
Azog on forward, trying to finish. Baz cannot do it, and that's it. Apex Mission Impossible will complete the seeding upset, and they will earn themselves a shot at revenge, like you said, TDS. Citadel up next week.
And revenge tastes best when you're able to win such a close series. So Citadel is going to have to wait, but for now, it's all going to be sweet for the side of AMI. And they played really well. I think for the 3 games, they did a really good job. 2 of those games, I think they won early with a really nice idea, and they are able to turn around with a lot of what they are able to accomplish. But in general, it's just AMI playing really, really well in the later stages of the game with their setups and the way that they were collapsing onto multiple members. I will say, for me, BB played that last game so well. Huge engages, really consistent in what they were going to try and accomplish, and importantly as well, collapsing onto Doxa so many times, making him pretty much invisible for the whole game.
Absolutely. Such good performances there. And yeah, like you said, taking Doxa out of the game after how well he was able to do in game number 2, critical for AMI to be able to find success. And again, they start to get gold out of Baz. It was a little back and forth for a while there, up until Baz starts to get these kills on the Jinx, and then he shows up and he can be the carry that the team needs him to be. He's pretty much never touched again from that point onward. They are not able to reach the back line. Really good defensive work from Pocus as well on the Alistair, and it comes up with a massive win here for the likes of AMI.
Yep, overall, really good performance with them, and with that win, like we were mentioning a lot before, AMI getting to now go against Citadel, and it's obviously not the end of the road for Komodo, because they still have a lot of opportunities to try and go back into that potential playoff race or playoff berth that is still remaining, and they still played really good. Like, I think as long as they are able to get a little bit more time together, accommodate more to now having Coulter instead of Shimmer, I think that it should be a really good roster to look forward to.
Absolutely should be. We're going to have a quick interview with Baz after that series. I do think we're going to have to say goodbye to you, though, TDS, so thank you very much for hanging out with us. I'll stay here. I will talk to Baz in a few short moments, so do not go anywhere. We'll be back after a short break.
1, go.
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the ACL. I am joined by Baz and Pocus off of Apex Mission Impossible, fresh off a 2-1 win in a close back-and-forth series. Congratulations on the win, both of you guys. I got to open things up by asking about the roster. Pocus, you're not listed as a starter for AMI, but you do come on in tonight to pair up with your longtime bot lane partner. What leads to that tonight? How about let's start with that?
Yeah, I decided to transition as a coach this split. So I built a roster with previous AMI pieces, Baz and Decoy, and we revamped the roster with 3 different players. But unfortunately, Protos was in vacation for this week, so he'll be back for next week, and he only played the matches. But we figured that I was probably our best sub option for the match.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Baz, good to be back with the old support, maybe for one last dance. If Pocus is going to be transitioning over to coaching.
Yeah, I mean, I'll for sure miss my my little Pocus. He's still young. He still has it in him, but I think he's gonna be a really good coach.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, a really close series on tonight. Comebacks coming in from both sides pretty much in every game there. There's points where the losing teams in both game 1 and game 2 had 2, 3, 4K gold leads. Does end up swinging back towards the other side. What do you guys feel that in game? Like what is making the game so swingy, so back and forth in this particular series tonight? Anything about the champions picked or the teams and how they interact with one another that would lead to so many closer, longer games?
You want to take it, Baz, or I go?
You can go first.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's not necessarily the draft. I think the first draft had hard execution and we messed up our first fight. So then we had to take our items and we played a bit too fast early. And for the second game, again, mishaps, but I think it's just growing pains. We were a new team, right? 3 new pieces while I was playing today, but more like mistakes on our part in the first 2 games that led to their comeback, but they played pretty well, better than we expected. Don't take scrim bugs for granted. This is not how they looked in scrims, but they did really good today, and we had some mishaps.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So, do you want to, hey, we got a player and a coach here with us right now. Do you want to ask a little bit about? You said you rebuilt the roster around the likes of Decoy and Baz, BB, Retrozing, and sorry, it's going to be Protos, right? At support. So those 3 newcomers joining up with the team. What's kind of the philosophy behind the roster construction and getting these 3 new guys into the team? BB and Retrozing both playing very well tonight.
Yeah, I'd say they're all hungry players. I think there's a lot of players in this scene that don't get the best opportunities or etc. to make it to tier 2 and maybe tier 1. And I think these players just never had great teams before. And I think it's their first team where they have more structure and more like-minded players or players of their levels. And they're all really hungry to learn. It's really nice to have. I think they'll do great.
Good stuff. Looking forward to it. So for Baz specifically, but we'll hear from Pocus on this one as well. You guys now play up against Citadel in the next run. That is going to be a match that qualifies the winner directly to ACL playoffs. Not to open up some old wounds, but did lose a series in the promotion relegation tournament with this AMI squad. Not this exact squad, but AMI as an org. And you 2 both as players to the Citadel team. Does it mean anything to get the rematch? Anything in particular for being able to play up against these 5 again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think last time we faced them, we were a little bit broken, a little bit. I feel like we're coming stronger, and I'm really confident in my teammates to do well against them. We're gonna put them in a hard spot for sure.
Pocus, any additional thoughts there? Or you right on
no,
board?
I agree. That third game, I had a bad performance. I won't be playing, so that won't happen. And then I look forward to helping my team do the best they can, and I think it's gonna be a competitive match. Yeah.
Right, all right. Yeah, and like you said there, it will be Protos coming on in for the roster there. Baz, have you gotten to scrim with the new support at all yet? Any thoughts on playing with Protos here and what he's kind of brought to the roster?
Yeah, I mean, he's really a fun guy to hang out, and I think his tempo is really diverse. So you have to watch out. He can pull some really niche pick, I guess. and that's kind of annoying. So I think that's one of his strong points. And yeah, I'm really happy to be able to play with Protoss. I think he's really good.
All right, always love to have a player who's annoying as their number one asset they bring to the game, definitely for the other team. So, last word goes to you guys before we close on out for the night. Baz, Pocus, we'll start with Baz. Anybody you want to shout out? Anything you want to say before we close out for the night?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, Pocus for playing this game, a last dance with me. It means a lot. He's probably like my favorite sport I have to play with along all of these years, and all of my teammates, my new teammates.
Pocus?
Shout out to the whole team. Shout out to our manager Leanne, who does a lot for us and has been doing a lot for us over the year. Our owner Joe, like, has been really supportive, like really nice. Shout out to my mom, my number one supporter. And yeah, I hope that we can. I think we'll do really well, and I hope that people will realize that we're a strong team, and that, to me, players like Baz are really slept on. Like, I think people are not seeing that in ACL last split, he was working with not the best performers across the board. And I think in terms of stats, he was like a top 5 ADC. And I think I'm excited to see Baz be able to get more recognition.
Love it. Well, thanks so much for hopping on with us here, guys. Best of luck in the transition to coaching, Pocus, and best of luck for the rest of the split to both of you guys with AMI. Looking forward to your match against Citadel and your matches as the rest of the ACL season plays on. That's going to do it for the broadcast tonight. Thank you, everybody, for tuning on in. Shout out once again to Zen Market. Remember, that is code Aegis for 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee, and exclamation point giveaway in chat to find where you are going to be able to get that potential Nintendo 64 giveaway. Thank you, everybody, for tuning on in. For myself, TDS, and Caddy on production, and we will see you guys next time.
Bro, just use Zen Market.